Hello, my absolutely brilliant and beautiful astrology soulmates, and welcome to your horoscope for April of 2025. It's me, Stormie Grace, and I am a practicing professional astrologer, and I focus on evolutionary and humanistic astrology. And here, as we come into April, we are entering a month that I think feels like a little bit of a breath of fresh air after months of like a lot of spiritual swimming. You know, it's been a little bit like Dory from Nemo, just keep swimming, just keep swimming. So if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. But in this month, we're going to be coming out of a Mercury retrograde, a Venus retrograde, which means we are naturally stepping back into a little bit of clarity, a little bit more purpose in the understanding of things. We're also going to see Mars move forward into Leo. So we have some signatures of forward motion that are really good news for us, okay? Now, before we dive in here and jump into what all of the month has to offer, let me tell you a couple things. First of all, there's going to be timestamps in the description box of this video down below. You can go right to your sign. And I always get asked, should I listen to my sun or my rising sign? And you can listen to either. I would encourage you to listen to both your sun and your rising sign for the next year and figure out which one really, really resonates with you. Now, there's a whole nother video that I can do if you're curious about why there is a difference between listening to those two. So let me know in the comment section down below if you want that video, and I will whip it out for you. Now, the other thing is truly, as we are going to be traveling here this month, so much more of the Venus theme is going to be pronounced. And you're going to get to start to see what your relationship with rest and ease and receiving and feeling beautiful and feeling like you are connected and empowered from that pelvic bowl area up. And that is a very Venusian space. So if you are feeling disconnected or if you are just feeling exhausted, you have not been playing, you have not been in that beauty, I do want to invite you to the Venus Reset program. It is open. It is still on sale until April 12th, and it is a beautiful 22-day easy, guided by me, journey to help you reconnect with that sacred bowl, with the Venus in your chart, so that you can use Venus the way it's meant to be and attract what you want to you, because Venus is not a hustle hard planet. So many of us have been using Venus as a hustle hard planet, and that is not the best function of that energy. Second, if you are ready to learn astrology, I would love to see you in one of my courses, GAFA, the Grace Astrological Fluency Academy, where we help you learn the language of astrology. It's open as well, so whatever your level is, I will put the description box, the link in the description box down below so that you can jump in. And we've got our next live class, if you're at the level of transits, that starts April 5th. So if that's you, you're ready to jump in and actually talk about transits the way I'm talking about transits with you right now, I would love to see you in class. All right, April has a lot to offer, and we're going to break it down from the evolutionary and humanistic perspective. But first, we are going to go over and see what the astrology of the world has going on, because there's a lot going on in the world out there. So I've brought mundane astrologer Dan Waits. He's going to let us know what's going on astrologically in the world with the Mundane Minute.
Hi Stormie and everyone out there. This is Dan from World Astrology Report, and I'm here with a Mundane Minute for April 2025. We're seeing the world changing incredibly quickly right now. Things are happening so fast, it's getting really hard to keep track of world events. Last month, I highlighted all the fiery planetary energy in Aries, the fast-moving, go-getting sign of Mars, the planet of action, assertiveness, and war. Venus, which signifies diplomacy and international relations in mundane astrology, was retrograde throughout the month in Aries, which is a sign in which she can lose some of her usual grace. And we saw what will probably go down as one of the greatest diplomatic fallouts of all time, when President Trump and his deputy J.D. Vance had a massive blow-up with Ukrainian President Zelensky in front of the cameras and the whole world's gaze. And we also saw the EU committing to rearming itself to the tune of 800 billion euros, which is a really big deal for geopolitics. But what's coming in April? Well, Neptune will be taking its first steps in fiery Aries for this cycle, and I think that means the temperature is going up, not down. Mars is moving faster and faster after its retrograde, It spent the last few weeks in the homely lunar sign of Cancer. And we've seen a lot of difficult emotions released by people who feel like their home or their homeland is somehow under attack. In the middle of the month, on April the 13th, we'll see a full moon that's going to trigger that Mars, as well as Chiron, the asteroid representing the wounded healer archetype. I think we might see events around this time which make us feel like the world is coming out of balance, even more than it already has. Remember, Libra is the sign of the scales. And with all the Chiron activation, this lunation could bring up wounds in the psyche of the United States that have to do with war or with violence or with troubling parts of its history. Shortly after that moon, Mars will return to the sign of Leo, and its fiery energy will start to express through the sun sign, which has to do with centrality and visibility. So expect to see a lot of troubling news about central figures and celebrities as Mars transits through Leo until mid-June. That's it for now. Catch me on World Astrology Report for in-depth forecasts and videos on themes in mundane astrology. Thanks everyone, stay safe and have a great month.
All right, beautiful friends. So you can see that the transits are on the screen over here, so you can follow along with me as well. Now, one transit I did not put on there, which is actually the one we're starting out the month with, and I love it. Please put a big old circle on your calendar, because April 5th is what I am calling Get Your Life Together Day, because we have got Mars in such a lovely conversation with both Saturn and with Uranus. Now, this is such a soft energy. This combination of planets, if I was going to actually put a team together to help me be productive, but do it in a way where I wasn't stressing out about everything, this is kind of the team that I would put together for sure. However, this is also a really magical day because Mars typically is happy to fight with both of these planets. All of these planets are willing to go to hell and back for whatever it is. So on this day where they are in soft conversation with each other, what we have access to is getting stuff done. If you need to get organized, you had a to-do list that it's like, okay, I need to go ahead and tackle some of these things. The 5th is the day to do it. Circle it, get your things done on that day. Now on the 7th, we're going to see that Mercury is coming direct in that vibration of Pisces. Now Mercury's been retrograde, and it did majority of the retrograde through that Aries vibration, okay? So as it slips back here to start coming direct in the vibration of Pisces, there has been some energy of like miscommunication, maybe a little bit of confusion. You couldn't quite see what the answer was. You were having to kind of sense your way along, very Dory, like even in your thinking, you had to just keep swimming, right? Just keep swimming, just keep swimming. So now, as Mercury comes direct, first of all, some clarity can be coming back to the table, but it's also a space where you integrate. In Pisces, we pull everything we have learned together into the great womb and we go, everything is everything. So you will integrate the things that you have learned while we have been doing this Aries Pisces dance, and we're not even done with it yet. So you get this opportunity to really pull together everything you've been learning, decisions you've needed to make, conversations that have been had over this last couple weeks into a really productive and really clear type of decision making, or a really clear and powerful conversation, because a direct day is a powerful marker for clarity as we're going to move forward, especially if things have felt uncertain. So here's the thing I want to just call in for you to consider is what was even coming up for you, since this is Pisces energy, in your dreams? Where were you feeling like you were getting intuitive downloads? You know, maybe some of you were journaling or something like that, and it kind of took over, you know, the automatic writing, and you were starting to see things. What was even coming to you in terms of the messages of your senses? Now they start to make a little bit more sense, okay? All right, now on the same day, on the 7th, we are also going to see Mars, who has been doing the most, but Mars has also been out of bounds. So some of the things we've been seeing Mars do, it's like the action and the energy has been so extreme, right? Or there's been extreme emotional reactions. Mars in Cancer, this is extreme emotionality, extreme moodiness, okay? Now, that's the challenging part. But where we can also look at what it gave us was an opportunity while Mars was working out of balance is for each of us. We had to reach outside of our comfort zones to find a new action, a new strategy, a new desire that probably was really far out of our own normal bounds. And now as Mars comes back in balance, first of all, we see some of that emotionalism like start to calm down. It starts to feel a little bit more normal, which also brings a bit more certainty back to the table. But you get the benefit of keeping what did you learn to do or how to do or what you desire while Mars was out of bounds. So this is actually a really useful energy. But the 7th is a lot of energy happening. Now we've got another big energy day, and this is happening on the 12th. First things first, we've got Venus coming direct in the vibration of Pisces, and we're also going to see the full moon in Libra. Let's talk about Venus first, because Venus and Mercury have been traveling this path, and they've been traveling together between that Aries and Pisces. I've needed to see it, and I got to come back and integrate it. I got to see it and come back and integrate it. So as Venus comes direct here in Pisces, the retrograde period was about the deep soul searching and about relationships and finance and value. And most importantly, I think it was about how do you receive? How do you create harmony? How are you at ease? How do you bring less stress into the Pisces area of your chart and the Aries area of your chart? And this is where I say, if you have been feeling disconnected to feeling like you're allowed to have ease or have a relationship with rest, or you're feeling valuable, or you're back in a pattern of romance or finance, this can just be a disconnection to your Venus. You don't need to do more. You've got to come into a relationship of doing less, because Venus is, I point my hips at it and I call it to me. I'm not hustling hard to go get it. So either you're shining that bright and able to pull that out there, or there's a disconnection. So during the Venus retrograde, what resurfaced for you around those relationships patterns? Maybe an old lover actually came back, or you realized a relationship or something you were spending money on was not actually valuable to you. Did you realize that a skill or a habit that you had was not valuable to you anymore? It was actually keeping people blocked out, or it was going to be the source of your own doing. Now, as Venus moves direct, it's like you can step into a new level of awareness and integrate what you learned that you didn't value anymore. And now you see the true value of why it was caca and it's not working for you. You know what I mean? So it's actually a brilliant energy. Now, we also have that Libra full moon that's going to be happening. Now, the full moon is going to ask us to end something, to acknowledge something, or to make an adjustment. We're at a pivot point on the journey. Now, Libra is ruled by Venus. So we again have another really strong call to our relationship with Venusian energy on this day. Now, this lunation is also in square to Mars, so I do think what's coming up for you that is showing you that something it's out of balance, right? You're getting a revelation or a realization around it, but you're also going, I'm feeling a little bit maybe afraid to change, or I'm a little bit afraid to put that boundary in place. So the tension is a bit heightened at this lunation. Now, one of the things I want to encourage you not to do is to make impulsive decisions. If you're frustrated or you feel this urge where you're like, a feeling is coming up or thinking, this lunation is very much so in the mind. You're like, my brain is telling me this, I should just take this action. Right? I would encourage you not to do that. Pause, rest, pray for just a minute, because you may be confronted with questions about what is your thinking in terms of some kind of something that is out of balance in your life. And if you get defensive and you want to be impulsive, this is going to be a great way to not make a good use of this lunation. Instead, just expect that it's a full moon. There are going to be significant revelations that are shown to you in the Libra area of your chart, probably about relationships or some kind of relationship dynamic. And what you can do on the other side is also see if you want to commit and go deeper into a relationship. Because at a full moon, we say, okay, these things aren't working, but these are, and I'm going to commit to a path to going forward with this particular journey. Now, for some of you too, It's just Libra energy. There may be people who feel like they are not connected to you anymore. And what I just want to remind you is that the challenge at the lunation is to emotionally navigate, but to remember that if they're not for you, they cannot stay. If y'all are not in the same vibration, they simply cannot stay. All right, on the 16th, we're going to see that Mercury now pops back to this Aries energy. So after doing the dance, lingering there in the Pisces vibe, having come through Aries and back, I mean, it's literally been the back and forth dance. Now, as Mercury re-enters into Aries, it's doing it with the wisdom, but it's also this marker for us that our mental and our communication energy is going to shift. And it's going from passive to very direct and very active. So there's more spontaneity here. You're a little bit more like, okay, tell me what's up, what's next, what are we doing? You know, your shuck and jive, especially mentally, and wanting to make decisions is really on. So in this space now where you can feel some of this forward energy, is like, I'm not dwelling on the past anymore. I saw it, I've integrated, I get it. Cool, let's make some decisions to move forward. Communication also speeds up typically, okay? So you might find information coming to you more quickly, or you're sharing things more quickly. And you have to kind of remember, no one's exempt from a Mercury and Aries transit. So if people are a little bit more blunt, they're a little bit more impatient, that's kind of just par for the cause. Don't take it too personally. Now, the other thing that's great under this transit is to look at where do you need to start speaking your truth about something, which doesn't mean that we get to use our words to go commit violence against other people, right? Or do those kinds of things, do damage. But where is there a truth? And maybe the truth is also that you want to initiate a new kind of project. You want to, express your ideas on a bigger stage or something like that. Mercury in Aries is going to help you to be able to do that and be a lot more direct and definite about that particular energy. On the 18th, now we see Mars shifting forward back into Leo. And this is just like, I feel really excited about this for us, because not that Mars in Cancer didn't do good work, it was very effective, okay? But Mars is also more comfortable in Leo because it understands a bit more how to work with that fire. And for us, it's another signal that things are starting to move forward. They are starting to move forward, okay? Because listen, the Mars journey has been a bit complicated for us to work out. Mars's journey has been very clear to Mars. For us, it's been more complicated to work out that space between, who am I and what is my expression, and then what are my places of emotional security that I needed to work through. So now as we see Mars back in Leo, it's powerful. It's again this shift from that highly emotional space, sometimes defensive energy space, to being more bold, being more expressive, being more action-oriented, being more, nope, this is who I am and I'm going to say it with my chest out. Being a space where I'm ready for more joy, because Leo wants the joy, the pleasure, and the play. And even if I have to work for it to have it, Mars makes effort feel a lot easier. It's a lot more effortless. So expect during this transit, feel more confident. Allow yourself permission to enjoy that, imbibe that. Mars in Leo is confident, it's creative, it has a desire to be seen. So even if you're one of our friends who likes to be behind the scenes, there are going to be seasons astrologically where the energy is literally calling you up and out. Get in there, encourage it. Take heed with it. Take a bold move. Take a bold action. What are you passionate about? What are you interested in? Go in that direction. Speak up. Say it with your chest out. And, let's see what happens when you let your fire burn. On the 19th, happy birthday to Taurus, and happy birthday to the Taurus area of your chart. It's that time of year. Every year we get here. So first of all, I would encourage you, as the sun is coming back to Taurus, look at what did you learn, grow, and develop in this area of your chart last year, so that you can compare it to and set your goals for what you'd like to do with the sun here this year. The sun brings light, heat, life, and vitality into the Taurus area of your chart. But as we shift to this season, Aries is a cardinal energy. It brought the new season in. It was like spring. I want to do spring, right? But then cardinal energy gets bored. It's got to get on to starting something else, but you can't just quit spring, right? You cannot just quit a season. And so Taurus comes in and is like, thank you very much, Aries. I don't want to be doing all of this start things. I'll hold spring down. you go live your best life, right? So they have this beautiful mutual handing off of the baton of the season. So now what you have started in Aries season is going to start to get more slow, more grounded, and more stable, and have long success to it here in Taurus energy. And in Taurus energy, you have the beginnings, but now you need to build. You need to build it, and you also need to be Vesuvian. You need to appreciate it. You need to create. Taurus is in the material world, tangible, pleasurable things. You have to be able to touch and taste and work with those resources. So this season is a continuation of what you built, but it is encouraging us to slow down, connect with nature, focus, connect with your Venus, build long-term security in the material space. So in this way, we're going to talk about money. We're going to talk about relationships. What is the quality of this area? Not the quantity. What's the quality of this area of your life? Now, you'll have a little help to build steady here, because on the 27th, we're going to have a new moon that is happening at 7 degrees of Taurus. And the new moon is the time to plant your seeds of intention to increase the quality, the stability, and the endurance of what it is that you have built in the material plane that you carried over from Aries season. But this particular lunation is also in square to Mars and Pluto energy. So there is a tension, there is an intensity. And what it feels more like to me as I look at the astrology is that what's coming up for you is that it's a couple things. One, maybe you're feeling very impatient. You're like, I want it to happen now. So you're like in a power struggle with it. That's not going to do you anything good except to learn about power struggles. So if that's where you're at, that's okay. You're trying to build something new. You've maybe never been here before, and you're going to have to give yourself some time and some patience to build and to become the person that can maintain that structure that you're building, right? So there's this space here also of that tension, but also internal resistance where it's just fear. You're just afraid to do it. Like you're afraid to build it or to start fresh. Or it's like, what if it doesn't work? What if I can't afford it? What if? And then there is a potential with there being an external obstacle that you've got to get over. Now, through and through, the message at this lunation is not no. It's slow down. Make your way through the uncomfortable and around the obstacles, but go forward. And also to face the deeper undercurrents that are stopping you from pulling to you what you want. So again, it comes back to this Venus energy. I'm telling you, if you have not taken the Venus Reset program, if you will not, cannot, are struggling to build for yourself materially in a way that is in alignment, this is a great place to check in, because Taurus season is nothing but let's see what's going on in this material world. Okay, as we're going to close out this month on the 30th, we've got Venus re-entering into the Aries energy. Again, some more. Again, some more still, but all forward motion, friends. We're all coming forward. And Venus, too, has had quite the journey between swimming and floating between Aries and Pisces. So now as we see Venus here, first of all, you remember you get to keep all of the lessons that you have integrated and you have learned. But Venus is bold. It's a lot more independent. It's like, I value this. So in terms of my love, in terms of my money, in terms of just the way that I value myself out in the world and my space, here's how I'm going to put it myself forward. I'm going to step into the spaces that I love. I'm going to tell what I want to come to me, and then I'm going to let it come, and I'm going to be ready to receive it full on, right? Now, this is one of the things I like to think about with Venus and Aries, because it's not necessarily a wait around kind of energy, but Venus is not a hustle hard energy. So what do you do with that? Here's a tip and a trick that I learned, because I am a Venus Aries. When I want to change my vibration to understand the abundance of something around me, I put myself in those places. I used to be really, really, really poor, really, really, really poor, right? Okay. And I knew I wanted to have a different relationship with money in the material plane. So I would go to places where money was comfortable. I would go spend time at the bank and I would ask questions about how banking things actually worked, not just having an idea. And I spent time in a bank. And then I spent time at this store that I used to like because it was just a bit out of my price range, right? Like I wasn't at that place in my life. I used to go to art museums. And then I learned what that vibration was, and it's a form of manifestation, but it's also in terms of even getting Venus keyed to the frequency of what I valued, what the vibration was, pointing my hips at it and telling it to come to me. And I still use this trick today because I'm Venus in Aries. I don't always want to be waiting around for things, but I know that if I go hustle and get it and try and make it come to me, it's going to go sideways. So that's a tip and a trick you can try on for yourself. Let me know. It's a fresh cycle here. You've learned a lot of things about what you value. Now put yourself in the places that you value and let that goodness come for you. All right, my beautiful friends, these are the transits we are working with for the month. I will be with you every week so we can go into the smaller transits as well. Now click in the description box down below and go to your sign or your rising sign, whichever you like to listen to for the month. Beautiful Aries friends, and welcome to your horoscope for April of 2025. And first out the gate, happy birthday, Aries. I hope that you are setting yourself up for nothing but success for your annual new year. This is the time of year every year where it is like you get to set yourself up and look at what did I accomplish last year or what changed for me last year and what would I like to dig into as I'm coming into this next year. So whatever that is for you, April is a month where there is just, it's been a time for us where we've been more introspective and reflective. And now we're getting to move more like that Aries energy into more bold action. Venus and Mercury coming direct, your ruling planet moving back into Leo, so moving into a more comfortable position. A Taurus moon bringing a lot of steady for you, Aries. So there is some good stuff on the agenda, at least cosmically, to help you establish what it is that you want for your year. Okay, Aries, so right out of the gate, pay attention. Put a circle on your calendar for this one because right at the beginning of the month, on the 5th, we are going to see Mars, your ruler, be in a really lovely connection with both Saturn and Uranus. Now, Saturn is going to be making that, they're going to be making that trine, and Uranus and Mars are going to be making the sextile. This is not going to last because Mars is going to get busy moving on, but here on the 5th, if you have things to do, like if you have a to-do list, I've got to get things done, or I just need a little bit of energy to get this going, this is the time to do it. There's a lot of stability. There's a lot of really good energy available for you right there on the 5th. So I would circle that as a day to be getting some good things done. Now, on the 7th, busy, energetic day. First of all, we are going to see that Mars, your ruling planet, now comes back in bounds. It's not out of bounds anymore. So some of this stuff where it was like, whoa, how did I get here? How does this action so big? Why is there so much extra energy or extra restlessness? That's going to start to come back down as Mars comes back inbound. So the thing you want to take with you from there, Aries, is to think about, okay, what new actions or new strategies did you learn to put in place that were maybe outside of your comfort zone of doing, and now you're going to be able to implement them because they're not old, they're not crazy ideas anymore, they're new. But also in the external world, we're going to see some things hopefully start to calm down as well. We're also going to see that Mercury comes direct here in Pisces, and this is going to be in your 12th house space. Now, Mercury's been retrograde in your 12th house, taking you on a deep introspective journey. I mean, really, the Mercury retrograde, it's been so intense because it spent most of the retrograde actually in your sign. So you were looking back over you, right? You were going back over you, what you think, writings, ideas, schooling, teachings, beliefs, communications, all of these things have been under review. And then as we move through that 12th house of the unconscious mind, hidden fears, and spiritual growth, there's been an intuitive awakening that's available for you, right? Now, during the retrograde, you might have felt like old emotions or past wounds got really stirred up. And it was really about patterns that have been needing some healing in order for you to be able to move forward. And there's a bit of mental fog that comes with that as well, right? Like you're uncertain about certain decisions or you're re-looking at the past. Sometimes there can be some regrets. So if you've been feeling stuck or you've had those past emotions come up, or maybe 12th house, even you've been experiencing some really vivid dreams, right? Now with Mercury turning direct, you can expect a wave of clarity where that confusion was, things start to get a little bit more clear and you feel like you can make sense of it. And in Pisces, this is a beautiful date to start to realize you're going to be able to integrate the lessons from this retrograde and trust your intuition. Move forward. Let that clear vision be your guide. Okay. All right. On the 12th, we're going to see that Venus comes direct in the vibration of Pisces as well. So it's just a full house over here. Now, as we were doing the Venus retrograde, this was also quite intense for you as well, because Venus spent a really long time being retrograde in your sign. Now, this could have been really helpful for you in looking back over what you needed to let go of or where you were not valuing you in your relationships. Now, as Venus is coming direct here in this Piscean vibration, that theme of letting go of past relationships, karmic love and financial lessons, emotional renewal, all of this has been up for grabs because Venus in this last portion of the travel in your 12th house, it has been encouraging a lot of really deep reflection on love, self-worth, value, how you emotionally attach with other people, and sometimes what it can do is when Venus is traveling through that 12th house, we have either actual or perceived experiences of feeling distance between ourselves and someone that we love. It can also be pointing us to, Aries, did you have something where you were struggling where it's like an unresolved emotion about a past relationship? The point is that the Venus retrograde coming direct now is the turning point, right? You'll see the value of it now, and you start to see why certain patterns have been repeating in your life. It's like you're being given an opportunity to heal and again integrate what you've learned about those emotional wounds. So this is the time where it's like, I've talked about it in the Venus playlist. The Venus story is going to go all year long and beyond. But this is a great opportunity to go on ahead and release that past, step into being more authentic, step into more authentic and fulfilling relationships where you can really be yourself and others can be themselves as well. Now, also on the 12th, super busy energy because we've got the full moon happening in Libra, which is going to light up your 7th house space. Now, as we're seeing this full moon happen in Libra, this is going to be at 23 degrees of Libra. So make sure you're checking that on your chart. We've got all of these, it's a full moon, right? So it's opposition, which means where's the me and the we balance? Where do I partnership? Where do I have my independence? Where do I have connection? Where do I define my own needs? So there's this kind of dance, and this is all taking on a Martian energy, where your ruling planet. So at the full moon, we're being asked to end something, acknowledge something, or to make an adjustment. And it's powerful because in the 7th house of conscious chosen relationships, these aren't relationship happenings that we don't know anything about. They are conscious. I have chosen to be connected with you, whether it's me and a higher power, me in the relationship with myself and my body, me with other people, romantically, business, enemies. So this full moon is going to illuminate all of those partnerships, right? And it's really showing you what is in balance and what is not. Because Libra is about harmony, but with this square to Mars and this T-square going on, there is an urgency at this particular full moon where it's like, no, I have to know where I stand in this relationship, or I need to put it down. This is where I'm going to tell you, this is the point in the year where you're looking for the hell yes people, not the on the fence people. If you have on the fence connections in your relationship, right? Like people are half in, half out in your friendship, half in, half out at work. You may be like, no, that's not working for me. I'm looking for a hell yeah connection. And if that's not it, I need to let it go. On the 16th, we see Mercury now coming back into your sign, into that Aries energy where you, I think in the first iteration, got to find your voice. You got to refine it during the retrograde. And now there's more power. There's a more bold expression. And more than anything, Aries, I just have this excitement for you about new ideas, right? Because now that Mercury's back in Aries, it lights up your first house. It's time to speak up. It's time to be clear and concise and make those decisions and take direct action. It's a huge shift from that introspective Mercury in Pisces where we have to feel through it, only trust the intuition. Now you're confident. You're like, my intuition and my mind are in alignment and I am willing to express my truth. So the one thing I would say to you is remember and honor the fact that words carry power. What you're saying, people are going to listen to. So it's a great time to start a new project. If you're a business, rebrand yourself, set those personal goals, get yourself on a 30-day plan to improve, release, whatever it is, right? But just be mindful of speaking too impulsively because words really have power. On the 18th, now we've got Mars pushing back into Leo, lighting up your 5th house space. This has been a long journey in the Mars retrograde cycle, and we are not truly all the way through it until we get into May, but this feels nice. Some energy's moving forward. So creative projects, romance, children, taking a risk, being playful. As Mars comes back into this area of your chart, remember, it's going to reignite passion and that creative drive, but you've already been here. So where are you feeling the pullback? And now you're more sure of it. So if things have been feeling stagnant for you, enjoy it. You've got a burst of energy on the way. Now, whether you're going to apply that to an artistic project, you're going to apply that to doing something with your kids. You know, for some of you, maybe this is even a little bit of you're taking a risk and you're traveling. You're going from someplace that's really cold and you're literally stepping into a burst of heat and energy, okay? But this is essentially, when I look at Leo energy, I'm like, this is joy. This is joy. There is a joy, but in order to really live your joy, you have to take a risk. You know, maybe you've been hesitant about putting yourself out there, whether that's dating, a creative project. Maybe you just want to pursue something fun. But now I think with this retrograde energy done, you feel more bold and ready to do that. So take center stage, okay? Go flirt them up or rizz them up, as the kids say. Take that risk, okay? The motivation is there. On the 19th, we're going to shift energy to become a bit more steady. So thank you, Aries, for everything that you got us started with your beautiful cardinal energy. Now we're going to shift into Taurus season, and this lights up your 2nd house. And this is going to be more about grounding and bringing stability, bringing more confidence through financial, partnership, value, self-worth, literacy to your table. So as the sun comes, it brings light, heat, life, and vitality, right? You're motivated to focus on this 2nd house area. So your focus is going to shift from, or it's going to shift to, building financial stability. It's going to shift to building, I value this. That's why I'm pouring energy into it. You know, remember, we had a lunation earlier in the month where it was like, no, I only am looking for hell yeah people in my life. You know, in terms of my chosen connections, I only want hell yeah people. If people are on the fence, if this job is on the fence, if this friendship is on the fence, I don't want to be in it, right? So now this is going to be an indicator of where the journey of self-worth and clear value is going to take you. But it's also going to be a place where in this particular area of your chart, you get to slow down and work on your long-term security. So, you know, I'm going to just put it to you right now, Aries, as you're listening to this and we're traveling together, are you feeling confident in your financial situation? Are you valuing yourself properly at work? Or is it, you know, you're valuing yourself too high for what you're actually bringing into that workspace or too low? Because this transit in Taurus, make no mind, it's ruled with that beautiful Venusian energy, but this transit asks you to get serious about your money, about your resources, and about your self-esteem. So if you've been undervaluing your skills, it is time to ask for that raise. It's time to increase your prices. It's time to become financially literate, make a plan that supports the future that you would like to engage. Now, just behind that, to help you, right? It's like a little bit of a gift. We get the new moon happening in Taurus, and this is, again, lighting up this 2nd house space. So it's bringing this new moon energy to your table. Now, you're going to want to watch your chart for 7 degrees of Taurus, okay? So as this new moon is happening, there is this dance Also going on yet again with Mars in fixed energy Leo, but we're also going to see that there's a dance going on here in Pluto. So we've got a lot of fixed energy that is trying to get itself to start, okay? So you're planting your seeds of intention for money, for stability, for long-term success, but because that moon is squaring Mars and Pluto, there's tension, especially I think around your personal power, or like if you're having a financial fear, like you forgot who you are and that you can do it or that you can learn to do it. So you are being asked to, yes, plant your seeds of intention, but realize there are going to be some obstacles on the path. Now, let me ask you this to just consider at your moon time. Have you been holding on to financial fears? Are you undervaluing your worth? Because this new moon is asking you to bring those doubts into what you're planting, face them, and start to build something solid, right? It's like the truth of, I do have these financial fears. Okay, so plant your seeds of intention to bring you a mentor who can help you become more financially literate, or talk to you about how they got out of that financial situation, right? Or maybe they're going to talk to you and you're going to learn about launching a new income stream, take control of your spending, something about getting your financial goal in order that gives you long-term security. Now, as we're going to close out the month, Venus comes back into Aries. Okay, this is magnetic. It's lovely. You get a confidence boost from it. There is a lot of personal magnetism that comes here. So with Venus returning to your first house, really, truly, it's like you just get a little mini glow up, and it can make you really, really attractive. It can make you confident, but also it can make it so that what you are calling to you is literally calling. You're calling it right to you. Aries is direct and it is fast. So if you're saying, I want that over there, point your hips at it and call it to you. Remember, we talk about this in the Venus Reset program. Is your Venus energy clear? Is your hip and your pelvic bowl energy clear enough to call to you exactly what you want? Because if you've been out here playing small, now, at this point in the cycle, you're stepping into a different, more authentic, more bold version of yourself, and people are drawn to that honesty. Now, whether that's romantically, professionally, socially, they're coming, but you've got to be clear. So it's the perfect time. If you need a glow up and you need to revamp that image, take action. Take action on the direction that you want to go, okay? All right, beautiful Aries friends, it's another month of beautiful transformation. It is a time to take that bold action. Trust your voice, trust what's been built in you, and embrace what you truly deserve, okay? All right, Aries, I love you. I will see you next month. My beautiful Taurus friends, and welcome to your horoscope for April of 2025. Taurus, this is a major month for you. Your ruling planet Venus is coming direct. The sun is moving into your sign, and we've got a powerful new moon that is happening in your sign as well. So this is marking this time where it's like, ooh, Taurus is getting a personal reset here. There's also some pretty deep shifts happening for you, Taurus, in your social circles. And it's really, I think, because you have had some reprogramming to that subconscious mind, changes to your career zone, maybe your home life, but whatever it is, it has brought a shift that is going to change the direction and the course of your life moving forward. So let's get in here and break down the dates for you, beautiful Taurus. Now, I want you to put a date on the calendar, put a big old circle around it, and that is the 5th, because your ruling planet Venus is going to be in lovely connection with Mars, and then Mars is in this delicious connection with both Saturn and Uranus. So I'm telling you, the word productivity rules the day. We could not get more of a productive day, I think, if we wanted to. So make a note of that. If you've got things to get done, you've got to get organized, listen, it's get your life together day, okay? You'll also feel this, I think, a bit amplified as we're traveling in the first few weeks of April, because on the 7th, we're going to see Mercury come direct in Pisces, and this is going to light up your 11th house space. Now, Mercury spent a lot of the retrograde in Aries, so in that 12th house space, and this was really, I think, Taurus, offering you an opportunity to back down, like to get a new relationship with rest, to receive, to be calm, to come into April going, okay, where can I bring to culmination my last year, right? It's getting ready to be birthday time. You're going to have a whole new year available. So where are you bringing to culmination? But as Mercury has been retrograde here in Pisces in this 11th house space, I do think that there's been a bit of confusion in your social life where it's like, wait a minute, or, maybe it's a group project. It could even be future goals that you had for yourself. But this has been giving an opportunity to you, Taurus, to reassess your friendships or feeling unclear about your role in a community or a professional network. And now as Mercury comes direct, there's clarity and there's movement forward. So finally, it's like you can see where you stand. Because sometimes, even in the game of very Piscean space where we're trying to trust our intuition, it's like, wait a minute, just what is this? What am I looking at? Why am I just off? And now we start to get some clarity. So if there's been a miscommunication in a team project or you've had to delay launching something, the answers start to come in. Now, when we get to the 12th, it's a very busy day. First of all, Venus is going to come direct in that Pisces energy in the 11th house, and we're also going to have a full moon happening in Libra. But let's talk about this Venus first, since it's your ruling planet. Venus spent a lot of its retrograde also in Aries. So your 12th house has been having a massive amount of review. You've just been in review. You've been in review of rest. I really hope for so many of you Taurus people that you were in the Venus Reset program, because as we were looking at Venus retrograding through your 12th house space, it was about letting go of past relationships. It's about cutting cords with some of that karma and karmic lessons, unresolved emotions that have been sitting in your hips or sitting in your hearts. Venus retrograde was bringing a massive turning point, and especially for you Taurus, getting into your body, really getting into those hips and into your body. Where have you been storing stories that are no longer needed? But now, as Venus has slid back into the Pisces energy, you've been reevaluating those friendships. You've been reevaluating, hold on, does my group, does my social area have harmony? But also financial benefits, right? Like, what are the financial benefits that are coming from your social media, from your social networks? Where do you want to align yourself to go forward in your future that will have a financial benefit? So as Venus comes direct here, you have the opportunity to see that if certain relationships have really been feeling strained, or you're not on board with the financial, life and support that's been coming, now it can take a shift forward. Now you start to attract new clients, new friendships, and they are more aligned in every way socially for where you want to go moving forward. Now, on the 12th, we've also got that full moon happening in Libra, and this is going to be at 23 degrees of Libra, lighting up your 6th house space. So this is lighting up health, daily routine, work-life balance. If you're an independent freelance person, it can be work projects that you're working on. It can also be your mental health and wellness. And of course, we're going to put small pets or being of care or of service to something or someone. Now, the full moon asks us to end something, acknowledge something, or adjust something. And as it brings all of this light and this highlight to this 6th house area, this is a big realization point where the question I think for you, Taurus, is, are you feeling balanced in your daily life, right? Or are stress and exhaustion taking over? Are you living your life, or is life out there living you? And this is really important, because if you have been working too hard without rest, this full moon will force change. And this is the thing. I try to walk with the universe as much as possible because I don't like to be drugged, but sometimes we have to be drugged to learn the lesson. So again, if you're recognizing that a certain job or a certain schedule or even certain habits are not sustainable for you, if you've been skipping working out because you're like, Stormie, listen, I'm so burnt out, right? This is a lack of connection with your joy and your intuition. Come into that Venus Reset program, right? Or gain clarity that you're like, I have to take something out of my daily routine and insert my self-care. And this gives you a lot of energy to make those adjustments, okay? On the 16th, we've got Mercury coming back into this Aries energy. So again, into this 12th house space, you have got this space of this subconscious healing. And your intuition, your intuitive insights, I think right now, Taurus, are like off the chain. And in one way in particular, I think if there have been some old patterns that presented themselves to you, especially I even think between January and now, your mind was shifted inward. So you were being able to sort that out. You've had this deep reflection and quiet thinking going on and really looking at it. And now you're like, while I might not be ready to release all of my ideas, I'm keeping a little bit private. I do feel a lot more clear about how I got in this situation and how I would not like to be in this situation anymore. More than that, I hope for you that your periods of meditation, journaling, step work, working through subconscious fears is something that you can really take and see it as part of preparation for your fresh start as birthday time comes around for you, okay? On the 18th, we've got Mars entering back into that fiery energy of Leo, lighting up your fourth house space. So listen, the energy is shifting at home and those family dynamics are coming up, whether this is a home renovation, it's an emotional conflict, emotional security, family conflict. When Mars comes back into this fourth house space, it's going to stir up this area, right? So if things have been stagnant in the home zone or with your parents or with your family or in your roots, expect action, expect movement, expect decisions to be made. But with Mars, there can also just be tension. So if tension arises, especially in your familial relationships or with other women, no, it is happening because it is time to, let me just say it, Taurus, it's time to cut the shit. Okay, right? It is. So, if it's that home project and there's been a delay or setting a clear boundary or creating emotional security and safety in your environment, this Mars back in Leo is like, nope, I'm doing it, On the 19th, happy birthday, Taurus. The sun comes back to your area of the chart. It's officially your annual start, your birthday of the year. There's rebirth, there's personal power here. It is your season. So as the sun moves here and is bringing light, heat, life, and vitality to your first house, this is literally your personal new year. Step in, lean in, full body. Don't be half in, don't be half out, right? Say, hell yes, I am a Taurus. This is my year. I'm coming in full power. I'm coming in as energized as I am possibly available, and I am ready to take on the world, right? In my own soft, beautiful, not forcing things to come to me way, right? But this is your time to shine. Set those intentions for your year and embrace being beautifully Taurus. If you've been feeling drained over the last few weeks, in particular, I think that you can have some hope because now a bit of confidence is returning, and it's really a time for you to be focusing on you because you are stepping into your next evolution, but it's you stepping there, not the universe stepping you forward, okay? On the 27th, we've got a little bit of help to step forward with this new moon happening in Taurus at 7 degrees. So the new moon is your time to plant your seeds of intention because this is a major reset. It's a major reset moment in your identity, the first house of identity, how I present myself, how I see myself. Now, this moon does square both Mars and Pluto. So there may be inner tension that comes up. I mean, it's pushing you to face your fears. It's pushing you to claim the power to say, this is where I'm going next. Now, so listen, let me ask you a question here, Taurus. Are you ready? Are you feeling ready to step into this next evolution and version of yourself, the 2025 model, okay? Because maybe you've been holding on to this outdated image or you're afraid to fully be in your power, which may look like for you, Taurus, you're holding on still to a little something because you're like, this has brought me security. And what will happen if I say no and let it all the way go and step 100% fully into this thing going forward, right? So this new moon will offer, I think, a bit of challenge to let go of those fears, step out of that comfort zone and embrace it because who you are becoming, you may just be slowing down the becoming process by your own fixed energy resistance. So just have a consideration, but it's already here. As we're going to close out the month, Taurus, on the 30th, we see Venus, your ruling planet, now coming back forward into this Aries energy. And I really just want to say to you, sanity and healing is going to come through love, creativity, intuition, and that step work, right? The subconscious healing, something has changed and shifted in you. So when Venus, your ruling planet, is back here in this 12th house, there's deep emotional reflection that's here, but it's more like I want to put on Marvin Gaye or my own set of jams that I like and be at my house. My soul is craving a little bit of that delicious solitude and soulful connections when I am connecting with other people. I don't want these surface level interactions. And this, I think, is a function of the shift of your subconscious. Like I was talking about with your friendship groups, you're not taking people that are half in. If people are half your friend or half your business partner, you're looking for the hell yeah, let's have this soulful connection kind of engagements, because the rest is just energy leaks. And this is something we come to understand through the lens of that 12th house. All right, Taurus, this is your month. It is your month, right? You get to step into your power, the sun, the new moon, the clarity on the friendships. It's all right here. So to the best of your ability, embrace the changes, trust your path, and celebrate your rebirth. All right, beautiful Taurus, I love you, and I will see you in May. Beautiful Gemini friends, and welcome to your horoscope for April of 2025, where Gemini this month, it's a little bit dynamic, just like you are, because there's big shifts coming in your career around creative projects, friendships, communication. It's all got a bit of shift from you. It's almost like when I look at the overall view of your horoscope for April, you're moving from this professional reconsideration space to being like, okay, I'm going to go out and I'm going to make these connections now. And you're also moving from this place that's like, I've got this deep emotional reflection. And now you're like, I have a new sense of direction. I know what I'm doing, right? So this is a highlight for you, big highlights in the career zone. And your ruling planet Mercury is going to be coming direct this month along with Venus as well. So it puts a little gas in the tank for the month. So let's jump in here and see what's going on for you. Now, Gemini, oh my goodness, put a heart, a circle, whatever kind of shape you like around the 5th of this month, okay? Because what's happening is that Venus is in such a lovely connection with Mars. Mars is in lovely connection with Saturn and Uranus. And this is a day of productivity. I'm telling you, like if you had things you needed to get done, you need to get organized, you just needed to get to it. This is the day to make that energy happen. Now, on April 7th, we're going to see two things happen. First of all, Mars is going to come back in bounds. Mars has been out of bounds for a very long time. So it's like, some of the energy has been doing the most. But what it's also enabled us to do with Mars being out of bounds is it let us take actions that were outside of the realm of what we normally would have done. So for you, when we're looking at Mars being in this delicious Cancerian energy, this has just been around your money. What big decision did you make that you're like, I wouldn't have made this decision 2 years ago, right? I would not have been able to make this decision 2 years ago, and you took it. And sometimes the most out of bounds thing we do is something really traditional, So maybe you were an entrepreneur and you're like, yep, I'm going to throw in some traditional work as well. Whatever it is, that is where we've seen Mars out of bounds be excellent for us, is to give us the courage to take a different action. So Mars is going to come back inbounds and we're not going to lose the spunk. Instead, those actions that you took to bring some kind of courage into your life are now going to be able to stick. Now, we're also going to see Mercury, your ruling planet, come direct in the vibration of Pisces. This lights up your 10th house space. So career progress, leadership clarity, maybe even getting a bit of recognition. Now, Mercury did a majority of this retrograde transit through that Piscean energy or through that Aries energy. So as we're looking at it, there was a lot going on in the social zone for you. What was happening around friends, in friendships, connections to work, connections to even social media or any of the social spaces that you were finding yourself in. There was a real reworking, and it could have been a confusion that was actually stirred up in your social group or a future goal that you had for yourself. You're like, I'm just not sure that I really still want that. Like prime example, Gemini. If you felt like you were having some distance from a friend or maybe an organization, or you're feeling confused about your role in those relationships. Maybe it was simple as there's just a miscommunication. And now, as we're going to see that Mercury is direct, although it's coming direct in Pisces, when it comes back into the Aries energy, you're going to be able to reconnect and you'll be in alignment with the right kind of people. You're much more clear about the goal that you have for yourself. But here in the 10th house space, as Mercury is your ruling planet and has been sleeping in this career area, those long-term goals again have risen to the surface. And if you've been dealing with delays, the miscommunication, the uncertainty, or the trying to launch something and it is like, this thing is not getting off the ground, then this is a beautiful time where you can know that you've revisited it, you've looked at it enough. Now it's just time to go on ahead, launch it back out there, communicate your vision with confidence to the world and in your job space. On the 12th, we see that Venus is going to come direct in Pisces as well. So there's more of this appreciation because Venus attracts, it doesn't chase. So Venus is like, yes, come to me. So in your career zone, we're going to see some appreciation. Maybe the finances also begin to improve. Maybe there's more social or work networking that's coming in for you because Venus is retrograde at this part has been more about really using your intuition around your career and your public image. Right? It's making you question what is valuable to you professionally, what's valuable to you in terms of relationships. And so now that it's going forward, I think it's smoother. The interactions are more easy. And I also think that whether it be someone appreciating you in your workspace or in your public image space, or you just having appreciation for the work that you're doing, there's a lot of gratitude on the table. Now, also in the same day, we've got the full moon happening in Libra, and this is going to be happening at 23 degrees of Libra, lighting up your 5th house space. So the full moon is asking us to end something, acknowledge something, or to make an adjustment. This has got a lot of light shed on it and highlighting your 5th house space, which is love and romance, creativity, self-expression. Children are in here, joy, pleasure, play, all of these things I want for you. This full moon is a powerful time for you to realize that whether this is in a romantic relationship or some kind of something you're trying to bring to conception or take a risk around, that something has been blocking. There's maybe been a block here, and this brings this creative breakthrough. It can bring the relationship intensity, and that's just the nature of the energy. But I think that if you've been feeling blocked in any way here, or you've again been feeling any kind of uncertainty, or maybe it's something for your children where they've been feeling uncertain, this lunation is going to shed a lot of light. Now, this lunation is squaring Mars. So again, the emotions can run high. So if there are big, bold conversations that need to be happening, or if there's even a little fight or tension that shows up, it's more about breakthrough. It's more about breakthrough to let the flood barriers get out of the way so that the energy is flowing. Okay, on the 16th, we've got Mercury now, your ruling planet, moved forward back into that Aries energy, lighting up that 11th house space. So think social expansion, think networking, think group projects, think social media, right? And it's about your future goals. So Mercury here is going to naturally kind of make you more social, more talkative, more ready to connect and to connect directly, right? You're not wanting to put your energy just any kind of way. I'm calling this placement right now, and please excuse my French, cut the shit, right? Like, I'm here to talk to you about this. I want to work with you together on this, right? We want to alleviate the confusion, so we want to work on this. You're sharing the insights. You're sharing long-term possibilities of where you want to go, being connected to this particular social space, social media, organization. Now, the thing I do want you to remember with all of this Mercury energy back here in Aries is that people are listening to what you are saying. They are listening to what you are saying. Now, you are one of our signs that is ruled by Mercury, so you have word magic. So be mindful with what it is that you are saying, because while it is a great time for networking, your ideas are good. And I think even able to be directly received, but people are listening. They're listening to every word that is coming out of your mouth. So try not to be impulsive with your words, okay? Be impeccable. On the 18th, we see Mars now moving back into Leo. And even though we're not fully out of this Mars retrograde cycle just yet, we are getting there. We're getting there. It's coming. This does give us, again, a little bit more bold energy to push some of the direction forward. Now, this is lighting up your third house space of communication, writing projects, anything that you're writing, contracts, websites, books, courses, any place where you need that real intellectual energy. As Mars comes back here, we first of all do want to remember that it has been here already, but you've been in this long period of review. So now that it's back, if you felt like you've been holding anything back in your words, in your thoughts, in something that you wanted to teach, in your daily reflections or in your daily interactions, this is an energy where you're like, okay, I'm feeling a lot more confident about speaking my mind. I'm feeling a lot more confident about putting it out there. Prime example, and I love this. I think it's so Mars in the third house. Maybe you've been thinking about launching that blog, that podcast, public speaking, sharing an idea that you have. Now your ideas are loud, they are clear, they are compelling because this transit supports it, or they support even learning something new. Maybe you got to take a course and you have the courage to do it now on how to put that podcast out there, right? And here's the other thing. When Mars is in the third house, intellectual CrossFit, like the heavy lifting of intellectual things, feels a lot easier when Mars is here. So you'll have a little bit more motivation. Okay, on the 19th, we see the sun enter into Taurus, lighting up your 12th house space. So this is the time where the sun is bringing light, heat, life, and vitality into your chart, and calling for some inner healing, for some solitude, for some subconscious growth, some spirituality. Because as the sun moves into Taurus, like it does this time every year, and it highlights this place, it's about rest. It's about your intuition. It's about the inner work. You're shifting to a more reflective period where taking a step back is just as much important as pushing forward, because this is the time where, this is the rest period before birthday time, and you arrive here at the same time every year. So something to ask yourself, Gemini, is, are you feeling mentally or emotionally drained from all the networking, all the career shifts? That's okay, because you can acknowledge it. And this transit is like pure cosmic permission slip to slow down, reflect, connect with your intuition. If you've been dealing with a lot of stress, that cortisol is running up your back, your spine, and your neck. Now is the time to reset your energy. Therapy, meditation, solo time, whatever it looks like for you, okay? Now, to help you, we've also got a new moon happening in Taurus on the 27th. This is going to be at 7 degrees of Taurus. So again, in that 12th house space. Now, this is, I think, our signal that this is a major reset for you in your inner world. But because this new moon also squares to Mars and Pluto, there can be tension with it. So it's like it's putting you in a position to face it, face the fear, face that emotional pattern that's keeping the stress going before you can actually deal with it. So it's like if you've been running on autopilot or you've been avoiding any kind of truth, especially emotionally, that's been coming up, this is the time at the new moon. Plant your seeds of intention, because you'll be put in a position of force, likely, to slow down, to process it. Plant your seeds of an opportunity to release those fears, release that limiting belief, release that toxic attachment. If you've been considering therapy or AA or 12-step programs or a spiritual retreat or journaling or just taking a damn nap, this is the time to start at this new moon. It's always the time to start, by the way. All right, on 30th, we've got Venus back into the vibration of Aries. So here we go. It's kind of this dynamic month. I was telling you, you get to the 19th and it's like, slow down. You've got to slow down and get into that inner world. But also, here's all this social energy. So Venus is back in Aries. Remember, it's already been here. So with Venus back here, first of all, your social charm is amped up. You're absolutely magnetic. You're calling to you, because Venus does not hustle. It's calling to you. So you can be attracting supportive connections, more exciting collaborations. and maybe even some of them possibly have financial benefits and they're going to come through that networking lens. So if you're like, no, I need a break, people start to show up because you've spoken truly about what you need. And they're like, okay. And you start getting support that you didn't even know that you had. You got people on your team that you didn't know were on your team. Or you're like, I'm so burnt out from work. I have got to put in this FMLA packet. I've got to do it. I've got to have a break, right? Whatever it is. Or have you been looking for a business partner? Have you been looking for, you want to live out of country, so you need a business sponsor? Do you need a mentor? I think everybody needs a mentor. This is a fantastic time with Venus back here to get the help you need and put yourself out there, because what you're looking for is looking for you as well, and you just call it to you. Now, if you are having trouble, Gemini, attracting things to you, clearly, I highly encourage you to jump into the Venus Reset program. This is where we reset those hips, reset that Venus energy so that you can be clear on what you're calling to you, because it's trying to come to you, beautiful Geminis. All right, my friends, enjoy this month. Embrace the changes. Trust your path. Take as much bold action as your energy will allow for you, because it is all here waiting for you. All right, Geminis, let me know how the month goes. I'll see you next month. Beautiful Cancer friends, and welcome to your horoscope for April of 2025. And this month is that blend still of the deep introspection, but some major career shifts, some emotional realizations, and some new beautiful social connections. So for you, Cancer, I think this month is really a time where we're looking at how can you be empowered to the new opportunities, but also if there's some shakeups that are coming in that emotional world, how do we navigate those tides? So let's jump in and take a look. All right, Cancer, so first things first, put a big circle or a heart or whatever shape you like around the 5th, because we've got Venus and Mars in a lovely connection, and then Mars is in such a lovely connection to Saturn and to Uranus. It's all soft, it's all nice, it's all welcoming. So this is a day on the 5th, if you need to get things done, you need to get organized, you need to get your life day, is April 5th. Okay, so whatever that means, it looks like for you, know that there's a lot of nice soft energy in the general waiting for you. Now, when we get to the 7th, we're going to see that Mercury comes direct in the vibration of Pisces, lighting up your 9th house space. Now, Mercury did the majority of its travel through Aries, right? We did most of the retrograde through that Aries energy. And so as we were experiencing this, it was mostly in the career house that you were doing a lot of review. But as Mercury has popped forward into Pisces, it's bringing your attention back to things you've already seen, right? It stirs up a bit of confusion around things that are the big picture. Travel plans, education, higher education, spiritual beliefs, the 9th house in terms of faith. This is massive. Things that have to do with immigration, international travel, if you do any kind of work internationally, things in other languages. All of this has been, maybe you've been questioning your life direction. Maybe you've really been questioning your faith. What do I actually believe in? Do I believe in something bigger? And there's been this confusion. And now with Mercury turning direct, expect to have some mental clarity. Expect to have some fresh insights that are coming available to you. It's a really lovely energy. And I just am thinking about this for you, but let me ask you, have you been delaying like a major decision about school or travel or some big project, Cancer, or you've been second guessing a belief system that has worked for you for maybe a long time? You're struggling with it. You're struggling to move forward with the new vision. That's okay. The Mercury retrograde will start to clear the fog and you can see a big picture again, okay? On the 12th, we've got Venus moving direct in the vibration of Pisces. Venus also doing most of the retrograde in the Aries energy, but nicely back here into this Pisces vibration, lighting up the 9th house space. So Venus is not a hustle hard planet. Venus is like, come to me, come to me. We're attracting only with Venus. So if you are feeling like with your Venus energy, your ability to point your hips at what you want and tell it to come to you, or in Pisces, if you are struggling to take things, whether they be joys or hurts or pleasure, and transmute that into safe, delicious energy, I really invite you to jump into the Venus Reset program. There is no reason to be fighting life. There is no reason. And as Venus has done this retrograde over here, really since early March and now come back to this Piscean area, it's asked you, Cancer, to reflect on what brings you joy and ease and pleasure in the bigger picture of life. And now that Venus is direct, are you feeling ready to move forward? Whether that's love, creativity, finances, an intellectual pursuit, a new faith plan for yourself? Have you been in a long distance relationship and you've kind of been doubting it or you're not really inspired by it? But now the energy gets lighter and it's like, hold on, this is full of possibility. If you've been reconsidering some kind of spiritual practice or like maybe I want to study abroad, this can be the time as Venus comes direct to say yes. Now, the other thing happening on the 12th is that we've got the full moon happening in Libra, and this is going to light up your 4th house space, home, family, real estate, property, your roots, like your emotional security. So all things having to do with family and the home get scooped up here. And the full moon is asking us to end something, acknowledge something, or to make a very big adjustment. Okay. So if you've been in a position where you've been a bit torn between this is what I really want to do with my career, but this is what my personal life is calling for. This moon is going to shed so much light that it pushes you to find the balance. Expect some realization about your roots. Where do you root down to? Who are your roots? Your living situation. Maybe it's even a family business or a family situation that is coming up for you. Now, this moon is also got this Mars engagement. So there can be a little bit of tension around, like there's a debate. You're debating a move. You're debating if you truly belong in this family or, are the aliens coming to get you soon? Whatever it is, this lunation is definitely providing a foundation that's going to support your growth, but you got to see a couple things, okay? On the 16th, we see Mercury now entering back into that vibration of Aries. Again, it's already been here, but now we're coming back with clearer career communication. Let me say that 3 times fast. There's clarity around your career. You're speaking up. Mercury in Aries is moving like a leader in your public image. And remember, your public image in the 10th house is not just your career, not just we call you, Sergeant whoever. Okay. But do we call you mom? Do we call you dad? Do we call you community service leader? What is also the name and the reputation we call you in public? Because as Mercury comes back here into this space, big ideas, professional opportunities, but the need to take them on by having a really bold, direct conversation can be presenting itself. So if you have been unsure about a career move, if you have been unsure about should I get that divorce or should I not get that divorce? Should I get married? Should I not get married? You're thinking fast, you're thinking direct, and you're willing and ready to act with a lot of confidence. Now, the one thing I will say is that as Mercury is back in Aries, while it is a great time to share all your big, bold voice, people are listening. People are listening, so you want to be mindful and impeccable with your words. But if you want to pitch an idea, you want to start a business, you want to directly share something, or you need to public speak, great. But use your words not like a weapon. Okay. On the 18th, we've got Mars entering into Leo, coming back here. And now we're not fully out of the Mars retrograde cycle, but this does put a little zizzle in the cup for sure. So lighting up your 2nd house space, we've got these themes of what motivates you financially, probably financial independence. Leo likes to be bold, say it with their chest out. So bold moves in how you're going to earn money. Okay. Now this is also a space of value. What do you value? And self-worth. But with Mars being here, it's giving you drive. You're like, I have this drive to make and take a financial action plan on. If you've been hesitating about making more money or you've been not valuing your skills properly, Mars in Leo is going to push you forward and you're going to be doing it with your chest out, nice and confidence. But also it gives you space, I think, as Mars is back here to say, have I been holding myself back? Like, have I been holding myself back? I'm not raising my rates. Why am I not starting that side hustle? I know how to do that. Why am I not going after a better paying job or a better job arrangement? But now as Mars is here, you're feeling all fired up and you're like, who's ready to claim their worth? I am. But again, it's still Mars, so just try not to be too impulsive because Mars in Leo does love some luxury. On the 19th, the sun's going to enter into Taurus, which you are very friendly with this energy, and it'll light up your 11th house space. So there is an expansion to your social circle, but there's also an expansion to a long-term vision or goal that you have for yourself connected to the greater being. The sun is bringing light, heat, life, and vitality. So shift your focus to friendships, networking, social media, if this is a piece of your life, and that long-term vision of what you want for yourself, because this is a great transit. It comes every year where it's time for you to expand your own influence. Make some really stable, long-term, meaningful connections. Align with people who are sharing your ideas, your ideals, and your values, because Taurus is ruled by Venus. And you want people that are all the way in. That's what we're looking for, Cancer. We want all the way in. Hell yeah, I'm in. I support you. I agree with this. We share the vision. People who are on the fence, you might not really be feeling connected to, and you maybe even know this already. If you've been feeling disconnected from your community, or you've been feeling like, I'm not really sure what my next big goal is, now your energy can kind of come back around and you can look at collaborating. What is the group I want to join? And you're putting yourself in those correct social places to be in alignment. And those social connections, usually this is Taurus, and Taurus is not thinking small. So your next major opportunity probably comes from the social connections you make here in April. All right, to help you do that, we've got a new moon happening in Taurus on the 27th, and this is going to be at 7 degrees of Taurus. So you're planting your seeds of intention in this 11th house. It's a powerful moment. It's a powerful moment, Cancer, for you to set new goals for long-term success. But this lunation does come with a square to both Mars and Pluto. It's actually T-squaring right there at that Mars energy. So there's some tension. You may have to push through some self-doubt. Or maybe this is Taurus. Taurus is an earth sign. You're actually having to push through some external resistance in order to take advantage of this energy. So let me ask you, Cancer, have you been thinking about it? And you're like, I want to start this project. Or you have even an idea of, I want to join a new group. Or I want to make a huge social shift. I want to go someplace else. Or like, this does not align with me at all. The new moon's going to ask you for commitment. Okay, just tell me what you want to commit to. But it also forces you to face fears. Like, do you really believe? Have you gotten that mindset and that energy around believing that you truly deserve that success, that you truly value that thing that you're calling in? Are you ready once it comes to you to embrace it, to embrace visibility and vulnerability, right? Whatever it is, this is a lunation, and we get to become with these lunations. And then the things we become, they come to us, right? You get to step into a lot of power with a much bigger vision and mission at this particular lunation. Now, on the 30th, as we're going to close out this month, Venus is going to come back here into the vibration of Aries, again, throwing some nice energy into this 10th house space. And remember, with Venus, we point our hips at it, men and women, and we say, come to me. Come to me. Venus is not out there hustling for it. It's like, listen, my life energy is spinning so on, so awake, and so clear to send out like a flare into the world, the energy to say, hey, come over here, right? So in your 10th house, your career could be glowing. Your career could be glowing. People are noticing your charm. They're noticing something about your leadership, right? Or there's just a value in your professional or your reputation space. So this is the time at the end of the month, network. Allow yourself to be the glowing one in the room, make that bold move. Allow those new career opportunities to be attracted right to you. If you've been waiting for the right moment where you're like, I don't know if I should rebrand, you should. Go ahead, look at it. Right now is the time, right? If it's the time to ask for a raise, if it's the time to step up and apply for some leadership, or even if you don't need to apply for the leadership, you just need to step into it, this is it. Because Venus in Aries is a pretty irresistible energy, and for you, it's in the workplace right now. So call to yourself the recognitions, the promotions, the financial wins that come to you through shifting your vibration. But again, if you are not clear and your hips are not calling to you what you want, those hips don't lie, jump into the Venus Reset program, okay? All right, my beautiful Cancer friends, April is a pivotal month. We're back at a cardinal season. So, we've brought in new air and new energy. Embrace all the shifts that are coming. Trust your worth, my beautiful Cancer friends, and go after what you deserve this month, all right? All right, Cancer, I love you, and I'll see you next month. My beautiful Leo friends, and welcome to your horoscope for April of 2025. And I'm loving recording this for you right now because there is, in the square just outside of my house here, it's filled with little children just after school here, and they are laughing and they are playing, and they just have these big, full, joyful hearts. Some of them are screaming because it's the end of the day, and it just really makes me think about that big Leo energy that is joy, pleasure, play. It's an abundant and confident energy, and that Leo, this month you get some of that boost of energy back as Mars is going to come forward and get back into your sign. So the things you've been waiting to take on, there's some self-confidence coming back in your sales. And really, I just hope that it gives you a call to remember your own beautiful laughter and abundance. All right, Leo, let's get in here and talk about what the month has to offer. First and foremost, April 5th, please put a big circle on your calendar so we can pay attention to this day because it's a sweet spot. We've got Venus and Mars in lovely conversation, and then Mars is in conversation with Saturn and Uranus, all soft, nice, easy energies. So the 5th is what I am calling for April, get your life together day, because if you needed to organize, if you needed to plan, if you need to be really productive and get things done, the 5th is where it is out. Followed by the 7th, where we see a couple things happening. First of all, we're going to see that Mars is going to come in bounds. Mars has been out of bounds for several months. So where this has been really challenging is that, things that have been happening have been way out of whack. But where it's been really helpful is the strategies or the things we needed to do, actions we could take. We've been able to reach outside of our normal bounds of how we do things and find different ways to strategize them. And that we get to keep as Mars comes back in bounds. Now, we're also going to see that Mercury is going to come direct in the vibration of Pisces, and this is going to light up your 8th house space. Now, Mercury did the most of its retrograde actually in your 9th house in that Aries energy, okay? However, what we know is that while Mercury was retrograding through that 9th house, it was stirring up a fair amount of confusion around travel plans, higher education, your spiritual beliefs, anything having to do with let me see the big picture. You know what I mean? And so these things about faith have been a bit unclear. But now as we see Mercury coming back and coming forward, and turning direct actually in the Pisces vibration in the 8th house, this shifts our attention to, first of all, remembering Mercury was already here. So where there may have been confusion now around a shared resource, sex, intimacy, emotional depth, trust, any kind of power struggles. Maybe you've been waiting for some financial news or something like that, or you've been sorting through all kinds of emotional baggage that has come up. This is a time where now that Mercury coming direct is going to bring that clarity. And then it's going to bring that clarity on, okay, what's the big picture information I've been waiting to receive? Have you been waiting for your tax refund or your investment return? What kind of legal agreements are going on out there for you? Either way, we're going to start to get some clarity as Mercury is here direct. On the 12th, we're going to see that Venus now comes direct in Pisces, and Venus also did a majority of the retrograde in that Aries energy as well. So also lighting up the space where you had, an abundance of thinking going on about your faith, about travel, about expanding your life at. Now, as Venus comes direct here in Pisces, we remember first that Venus is not a hustle hard planet. It is not a hustle hard planet. Venus is about attraction. So I'm telling you, if you have not gotten into the Venus Reset program and worked on how exactly you attract what it is that you value, if something's been blocking that, I invite you to do that. But I also invite you to think about the fact that as Venus has been retrograde here in this 8th house, it's been asking you to reassess that money, that intimacy, that trust, that insurance, death, debt, taxes. What's your connection to astrology? And now that Venus is going to move direct, any of that stagnant energy from relationship stuff to financial things is going to start to see some progress moving forward. So I did want to share this with you, Leos, because I've read this a couple times in comments in previous months. If you've been feeling disconnected in a relationship, Venus coming direct is a turning point. It is a turning point, okay? All right, also on the 12th, we've got the full moon happening in Libra, and this is going to be at 23 degrees of Libra, so make sure you check that out on your chart. Now, the full moon is going to ask us to end something, acknowledge something, or to make an adjustment so that we can commit to a new direction with new focus. So the full moon lighting up your third house, that Libra space, it's about communication, it's about learning. So this lunation is also squaring against Mars. So it does give me the indicator that if you have been avoiding a tough conversation or you've been avoiding making a decision, and it's likely because you're feeling uncertain, expect some things to come to the surface, to come to light, right? Under the light of the full moon, they come to light. And the emotions can run high around it, but really it's more about the Mars is here to just cut the crap and like get you to the other side, right? If there's a little conflict or a little cutting that needs to happen, we're going to be moving towards that. So, maybe you've been holding back on telling somebody how you really feel. Right? And hopefully this is like, I've been hiding my feelings and I love you. And it's not, I think you're a complete whack job. Right? But whatever it is, we're looking for some truth to start coming out over here in these relationships. Okay, on the 16th, we see Mercury now coming back to Aries. So first and foremost, this is a beautiful breakthrough time of ideas. And it's the desire to share your voice because Mercury is in a fellow fire energy, right? You're not only having this space where your mind's been expanded, or you're looking at that travel, or you're making those plans, or you're moving towards that higher education, but now you want to share what you know. So, publishing, marketing, broadcasting, publishing something out there into the world, expect new opportunities that push you beyond your comfort zone, but have you sharing your voice. So if you have been debating, should I go back to school? Should I not go back to school? Should I take that big trip? Should I not? Should I launch that YouTube channel? Take action. This Mercury coming back into Aries is your sign to go on ahead and take some action. The 18th brings Mars back into your sign. A little chutzpah, a little energy is coming back. It's like a power surge, right? So this is a space where, yes, let's just address where it can get crazy. You can be really impulsive and really sharp and impatient with what you're doing. Absolutely. To the other side, this is like unstoppable confidence, motivation, and energy. And it's also the start of a new personal cycle. And for you in this personal cycle, you've already looked at all that Mars has to teach you during the retrograde. So you might be ready to take charge and make change. I will tell you, if you've been waiting for the right time to launch something, launch anything, start a fitness situation, move into leadership, this is the right kind of energy. And all you're going to need is a little bit of courage to move forward. On the 19th, we see the sun move into fellow fixed energy Taurus, and this puts a spotlight into your career. So the sun moving into the 10th is about bringing light, heat, life, and vitality. And it's not just to your career, but it's to your public image. It's to your achievements. These things get to start to take center stage and really have a lot of light on them. So here we're going to expect a little bit more movement in the professional opportunities, especially in terms of leadership responsibilities. But I also think that this is a great time to look at or redefine maybe your long-term goals, because maybe it's like you made that list 5 years ago, where's my 5-year goals, and you've hit them. Or you feel like you're not quite on course, or you feel like I've been kind of stuck in my career and I need to look at and be ready to strategize what's going to take me further, faster, for longer. That's very much so a Taurus energy. Now you get a little help on the 27th because we've got the new moon happening in Taurus, and this is going to be at 7 degrees of Taurus, okay? So this moon, though, you're planting your seeds of intention because it signals to us like, hey, this is a new time. This is a powerful new beginning in your career or in your reputation. But since this lunation squares against Mars, and then we see the connection with Pluto, happening here as well. You may have to push past something that is either an internal fear or something that is actual external resistance. So let me just ask you, Leo, something to consider as you get around this new moon is truly, have you been debating some kind of career shift? Because this is your chance to look at what is standing in the way from you making that decision to committing to a long-term professional goal that takes you in whatever direction you want to go. Have you been thinking about starting a business? Why aren't you believing in yourself enough to do it? Or is this time and you're like, yep, success is mine and I'm going to go out there and take it. Whatever it is, plant your seeds of intention at that new moon, okay? Now, as we're going to close out the month here on the 30th, Venus is in Aries. It's back. Now remember, Venus has already been here before as well. We're seeing so many patterns of we've already been here. So this is kind of nice. This reignites the adventure that you were already on, but now you're coming back with more clarity. So as we see Venus come back here into this Aries energy, the expansion, I feel like it's really like the love and the joy and the romance and the energy of Leo, but about new experiences in your life. You're like, oh, it is time for me to explore. It is time for me to call in my passions and go towards the ease, right? Venus is not hustling hard. It's calling to me. I point my hips at what I want and what I value, and then I call it to me. And I am craving adventure. I'm craving adventure in my love life, or I want to learn something new, right? This is the time to say yes, whether this is a romantic trip, this is something new and exciting in your relationship, or a new and exciting relationship, that could be great. Maybe you fall in love with pottery. Maybe you fall in love with something else, but you want the joy, the attraction, and the adventure. And I think that is a brilliant way to leave the month of April. So my beautiful Leos, I hope you have a gorgeous month. Exciting learning, exciting travel, exciting opportunities are here. So it's your month, all month long. Go get it, step into your power, and let me know how it's going in the comment section down below. Beautiful Virgo friends, and welcome to your horoscope for April of 2025, where this month, Virgo, it's really nice that we're going to get a little clarity because your ruling planet Mercury is going to be coming direct as well. Venus is coming direct, but more than anything, I am so excited to see the way that relationships and partnerships are going to be shaping out for you, and what kind of changes and insights have come to you, especially around your finances. So let's jump in here, Virgo, and talk about what the month has to offer. Now, first of all, I'm calling April 5th the Get Your Life Day because it is such a delicious day. We've got Venus and Mars in beautiful conversation, Mars in beautiful soft conversation with both Saturn and Uranus, and that to me is kind of the dream team of getting things done. So it is a productive day. Please circle that on your calendar or whatever shape you prefer, but put the 5th in some kind of highlighted color because it is a really, really good energy. Now we're going to follow that April 7th by Mercury, that ruling planet, coming direct in the vibration of Pisces. Now we did see that Mercury did the majority of this retrograde in the Aries energy, but now it's coming direct in Pisces. So it's lighting up and bringing more clarity to your relationships, because before it could have been, even as it was direct, the first time it was traveling from Pisces into Aries, there could have been this stirring of confusion in your relationships. And I'm talking about conscious, chosen one-on-one relationships. We're not talking about people that are hidden from your past or anything like that, right? Romantic relationships, business partnerships, the partnership between you and your body, you and a higher power, any place you have made some kind of chosen commitment. So if you've been going back and forth in any one of these relationships or a relationship decision, or you've been experiencing just these communication breakdowns, we can expect that as Mercury begins to come direct, some clarity is going to show up. Have you been waiting for a response from like a company or a business partner or something like that? Or you're like, I'm just not sure about how this relationship should pursue forward. Things are just going to get clearer. Now, when we get to the 12th, we're going to see Venus coming direct, also in that vibration of Pisces, and this will light up that 7th house space as well. We've seen both Mercury and Venus travel from Aries to Pisces. Well, really, we saw them travel from Pisces to Aries to Aries to Pisces. So you have been working on this area of your chart for quite some time. But as Venus has done this retrograde through the 7th house area, it makes you question social connections, right? It makes you question the value of relationships in your life, professional collaborations. So really, truly, if things have felt off balance or just confusing around who you are relating with, significant relationships in your life, now you can expect things to be very Venusian. They're going to start to smooth out and make a little bit more sense. And Venus is not a hustle hard planet. So Venus is attracting to you what you have learned during this retrograde, because you've hopefully got some clarity that's come to you. And Venus energy for you, Virgo, if it is blocked off, I would highly encourage you to jump into the Venus Reset program, because with Venus, you point your hips at it and you tell it to come to you. But if that vibration is blocked, it's trying to make a phone call on a scratchy line, essentially. All right, also on the 12th, which is a very busy, energetic day, we've got the full moon happening in Libra, and this is going to be at 23 degrees of Libra, okay? So it's going to light up that second house space for you. So this is really about more financial and balance breakthroughs is how I want to call that, right? The way you manage your money, the way you value yourself, the balance of how you're making financial decisions. But the full moon asks us to end something, acknowledge something, or to make an adjustment. Okay, and this has a lot to do with, in Libra, your thinking. Do you have balanced thinking? So you may have experienced or be experiencing a realization about your financial habits, and it's really coming down to your financial mindset, or a shift where it's like your sense of value in the world is kind of being brought to your attention. Now, this lunation is squaring Mars, so the energy can be intense, but what we don't want to do is be impulsive around money matters. So just kind of keep this in mind. Instead, see what you're learning, see what your thinking has been around your finances or your value, and then choose the course that is going to bring the most balance for you to take that forward, okay? When we get to the 16th, we see Mercury now back into the vibration of Aries, bringing back the lessons of this 8th house space. And I do think for some of you this month, Libra, we've been on hold with a lot of things for a long time. And now that the energies are pointing and ready to move forward over these areas that we have spent months working on, there are a fair amount of intense discussions that are coming up for you. And this is going to be about shared resources, shared finance, intimacy, sex, the places that you are going to shift your focus to transform the most. So think about this, what kind of intimate, emotional, and financial commitments do you have with other people or resources in this world? Because now, as Mercury's traveling through Aries, this is going to be a great time to have those really serious talks. Maybe it's about an inheritance or a tax or a loan, or the way that you've regarded someone that has damaged trust or can enhance trust, right? And I do want to say this, because it's in the 8th house, and I see the 8th house being so much more collaborative in terms of business than even sometimes the 7th house, because this is where the money gets real. If you've been negotiating a contract or something like that, now whether that's a contract with a partner or, a business partner, or you've been wanting to make some kind of really important investment, this transit is going to allow you to slow down, get a little bit more introspective in your thinking in terms of what fears or patterns are holding you back. And then you get the courage to be decisive and just decide, I am either going to go towards true intimacy, I'm either going to go towards a true financial decision of abundance, or I'm cutting it off. Now, when we get to the 18th, Mars comes back into Leo. So first of all, this is some big ups for Mars, because it gets out of that watery terrain of Cancer and it gets back into fire, where it feels like it has a little firepower, but it is lighting up the 12th house space for you. So this is more about bringing that robust sense of energy to, the things of the past, your spiritual place, things that are going on behind the scenes, maybe even some subconscious healing that's coming up for you. So it is a deeply introspective transit, but introspective in the terms of even our actions can be introspective, right? I'm taking action that allows me to confront a hidden fear or to confront an old wound, a subconscious blockage that I've got. So if there have been things that emotionally you've been pushing aside, now they're going to not only demand your attention, but Mars makes effort easier. So you're going to be like, okay, I have been restless. I have been frustrated. I have been uncertain about my next move. It's time for me to take action of getting into therapy, getting into meditation, actually putting this on paper, right? Like you're taking the actions to bring the relief until whatever is fully processed. So this is really a preparation phase before Mars is going to come forward into the Virgo energy. And that space is where you have more ignition for your personal goals, having the blockages, or at least a beginning to move those blockages out of the way. So what is that for you? Have a think and use that Mars energy to be on your side. On the 19th, the sun is going to enter into fellow Earth energy, Taurus, lighting up your 9th house space. And this is about expanding. And we expand in many ways: publishing, marketing, broadcasting, higher education, travel, philosophy, spiritual exploration, faith, right? What do you do in your life that's connected to faith and ceremony? Because when the sun comes into this 9th house, it's bringing light, heat, life, and vitality. So it's shifting your focus to, I want to learn. I want to have these new experiences, right? So if you've been feeling stuck in a routine, this transit is really going to encourage you to not only break free, which, yeah, isn't that great, but it's like seek the knowledge. Just seek the knowledge. What do you need to know in order to see beyond the horizon that you're currently looking at? So if you've been thinking about taking that class, you've been thinking about traveling, you've been thinking about publishing a project, this is the time to expand your knowledge base and explore the ideas of how that can happen, or put it out there. For some of you, there may be, at this point in the year, this real craving for adventure, Virgo. This energy is going to help you to set that goal, to be able to take that adventure, to go on that travel, whatever it is. This is the time of broadening your horizon. And you're doing it like a fellow Earth energy, right? It's pretty grounded. It's going to be a practical approach to how to get that done. Now you get a little bit of help because we've got the new moon just on the 27th. So it's going to light up a space of fresh starts for you. This new moon is going to bring an opportunity to plant your seeds of intention in this 9th house area. However, this lunation does square against Mars and Pluto, so there may be internal resistance, Virgo, for you. There's internal resistance to change, or for you, you're not a fixed energy, so you might just be worrying about it. And the superpower for Virgo is to try and think things to death. So if you're in a bit of analysis paralysis and you're feeling that internal resistance, but it's more in your head, that would be quite normal. Now, for some of you, Pluto is in Aquarius. So this could actually be like there's an external obstacle that you feel like is in the way, but I really think more than anything, Virgo, this new moon, you're planting those seeds to begin something new. And the question you may be being asked is, are you ready to take that leap of faith, to expand, to go towards that next big goal? Because if you've been hesitant about starting a project, applying for school, committing to a different worldview than one that maybe you've even carried for 30 years, this moon is going to ask you to overcome that and step into this expanded place of what is a new possibility on the other side of maybe everything that you thought was the truth. On the 30th, we see Venus now back into this vibration of Aries, lighting up that 8th house space. Again, Venus is not a hustle hard. She's attracting. Point your hips at it and call it to you. Tell it to come to me. Money, right? This is the 8th house. Financial resources, emotional trust and depth. You are safe here with me. That's what we want this Venus vibration to be calling in. So, first of all, relationships with Venus here in the 8th can become deeper. They can become more passionate. It's transformative. Financially, this tends to be a great period for, honestly, some unexpected resources or possibilities to make investments to show up, but it comes from other people. It's not that you're necessarily going out there and doing it. It's some kind of financial gain or value gain that comes from others. So I want to say this in terms of relationship as well. If you've been feeling disconnected, like from a partner, this transit can be really great, especially in Aries, for reigniting intimacy, for reigniting attraction, where you're like, let's start fresh, let's start new, let's just start, let's just do it, whatever your do it thing particularly is. So that's just something I want you to think about and have in your back pocket, because there's hope in every situation, Virgo. There is hope. Now listen, Virgos, you are stepping into a new phase of transformation emotionally, financially, mentally. Trust the process. Release the past and embrace the opportunities that are not only here for you now, they're already in your space, but the ones that are coming ahead as well. All right, beautiful Virgos, have a gorgeous month. Let me know how it goes in the comment section down below. Hello, my beautiful Libra friends, and welcome to your horoscope for April of 2025, where Libra, this is a powerful month for you in terms of moving through, I think, some major shifts that you have been really reviewing and revising around your daily routine and the way that you work and you are in your daily life. Of course, your relationships and a full moon taking care of some questions we've had around that personal identity, and maybe even it's a beautiful time for a personal turning point for you. Now, we are going to get a little bit excited because Mars is going to move back forward into Leo, which means that this is going to light up your 11th house space of networking. So this is a nice time where there's a bit of social energy here for you as well. So let's break it down. Okay, so on the 5th, April 5th is I'm calling Get Your Life Together Day, Libra. So mark it on the calendar. We've got Venus, your ruling planet, and Mars traveling in beautiful conversation. And then Mars is in lovely conversation with Saturn and Uranus, the big dogs. So this is a day where productivity is the word. If you needed to get organized, if you just needed to get your life together in any way, shape, or form, this is a beautiful day to take that on, especially anything having to do with your career, your work life. So if you've needed to make some changes, the 5th is it. Circle it and be on your game that day. On the 7th, we see Mercury now coming direct in the vibration of Pisces. Now, we saw that Mercury did majority of this retrograde dance in that Aries energy. So there was a lot of work, a lot of review in your relationships. And as we are coming into this month, the sun is shining in Aries. So you are still working on those relationships, right? Like, so we've still got that inner purview. But now, as we see Mercury coming direct on this side of the retrograde in Pisces, it lights up your 6th house space. So I know that in terms of your daily routines and the way that you're handling your daily responsibilities to include your health and wellness, and I include mental health and wellness in there as well, maybe ways you're taking care of pets or you're a caregiver for someone, whatever it is, there's a daily set of being that you're participating in. And Mercury retrograde in your 6th house was maybe bringing delays or confusion in that area. Maybe that fitness routine was like, what fitness routine, So if you felt scattered or disorganized, or things have been delayed, or there's just been something off, like a misunderstanding has been here, this is where we can start to expect some clarity to come back to reality for you. Have you been waiting, seriously, like work-related things? Have you been waiting to hear back from a contract or a contractor? Have you been waiting for medical tests or even a medical bill? Have you, Libra, been thinking, Venus is highly activated right now. Have you been thinking in your life, you're like, I got to rethink this daily life structure because I want something healthier. I want something easier. I don't want to be stressing so much. With Mercury moving forward, this is where you can get a little bit more on track. It's going to be a great time for problem solving and reorganizing that whole flow. Okay, on the 12th, it's a busy day. First, we've got Venus, your ruling planet, coming direct in that vibration of Pisces after having also done massive transit through Aries. Now, if we think about this, both Venus and Mercury have already gone from Pisces to Aries, and then they came back from Aries to Pisces. So we have been looking at this area of your chart for months upon months upon months, and that is intense. So there are answers here, okay? But the first thing to remember with Venus coming direct here in Pisces is that Venus is not a hustle hard planet. Venus is heavy in the business of stress reduction. I point my hips at what I want because I value it and I tell it to come to me. That's a Venus energy, no hustle hard. So as Venus is coming awake here, it's about restoring balance in this daily routine, in this self-care. Because as it's been retrograde here, there could have been, I don't want to use the word tension, but discomfort or you've needed to really have a reevaluation of your work environment, those self-care habits, that diet, the exercise routine. But now that Venus is coming direct, there can be some flow, some smoothing out. So if you've even been struggling to find motivation to do your work, to do a workout, has there been something up between you and a colleague, right? Well, work relationships are not going to necessarily get great overnight. They can start to improve here with Venus. Now, if you are struggling to call in a routine to you that refocuses you on some kind of balance and pleasure, is typically a sign of a blocked Venus. And I would really encourage you to jump into that Venus Reset program. We are having a good time over there. We are shaking our hips out and coming to know our Venus and bringing ease into our lives, okay? Now, also on that same day, if the party wasn't good enough, we've got a full moon in your sign here at Libra. It's 23 degrees, so make sure you're checking that on your chart. So this is going to light up your first house space. This is personal transformation. This is identity shift, self-awareness, some relationship clarity based on what you're seeing. Now, the full moon asks us to end something, acknowledge something, or to make an adjustment. And it's in this first house of self, identity, life direction, your look, your aesthetic. So this is a time with all the lights on, of big realizations, epiphanies that come to us, changes in how you want to present yourself to the world. Now, this lunation is also squaring against Mars, so the emotion around it can be heightened. And I will say, because you're an air sign, the emotion being heightened around this could present itself first in your head, in your thinking. You're thinking a lot about it. And so here's a question that I want to just offer you to guide you a little bit is it true? Are you feeling ready, Libra, to redefine yourself? Maybe you've been realizing that a certain relationship dynamic or a certain role that you have played doesn't fit you anymore. And this lunation can bring some empowering, right? You're having a little bit of a breakthrough, but it may mean that you are encountering a little bit of intensity in your thinking. Like, what are they going to think of me if I set these boundaries? What are they going to think of me if I step into this leadership role? Expect shifts here at this full moon that are not just going to be on this day, they'll go forward, but how you see yourself and how others perceive you, because you're seeing yourself in a lot more balance, okay? On the 16th, we see Mercury now back into this Aries vibration, so we are bringing in the 7th house, conscious, chosen, one-on-one relationships. And we're going to do Mercury things here. We're going to have relationship conversations. We're going to have negotiations, right? But it's clear communication in partnerships, clear communication on those contracts, relationships, decisions being made. Because with Mercury moving into that 7th house, first of all, I would expect, we're post-retrograde of a lot of retrograde, expect important conversations with partners, whether that's business, whether that's romantic. When we're talking about the 7th house, we're talking about where do you have conscious, chosen relationships with people. You know who they are, even if it's an open enemy. So if things have been feeling stagnant or uncertain, you've been in a negotiation, but there's lacked clarity, now is going to be the time to do those negotiations. Have clear and honest discussions about what is going on. If you've been holding back in a relationship conversation, this is going to be the time. But do you see how the month kind of stacks and sets you up for cosmic success? Because just in the days before, it was like this clarity of you understanding where maybe there's a boundary that needs to be set or a renegotiation of roles or engagement. And then Mercury comes into Aries and you're like, I've spoken my truth. I've listened to yours. After listening carefully, here's the decision that I'm making. It's a really lovely energy. Now, when we get to the 18th, Mars comes forward into Leo, where I assure you it is a lot more comfortable than the travel it's been doing in Cancer. It has been effective in Cancer, but in Leo, it's a lot more comfortable and it lights up your 11th house. Now, there again, since 2024, we've been looking at this 11th house dance of energy for you because we've gone through Leo with Mars and then we've retrograded and now it's back. So it's time for some bold action. And it's time to really, I think, more boldly ask yourself what your future goals are. What are these future goals? Now, Mars is going to be in opposition to Pluto. So literally the world and mind frames and ideas that you used to live in terms of your daily routine, they may not fit anymore. They may absolutely not fit anymore. So Mars here in direct fashion, after having a review in your 11th house, is first of all making effort easier. So it gives you energy to network, to make that bigger, more bold career move, to take action towards some kind of long-term goal or future plan that you want for yourself. So if you've been feeling uninspired, I also think that Mars will bring a bit of motivation to you. It can bring, first of all, to bring some authority back into your life where you're like, listen, I am leading my life, right? So it brings a little bit of that leadership energy to your table. Or maybe you're leading a group. Even it's a new group initiative, or you're being influential to people around you. You're stepping up in a community project. This transit is going to encourage courage, and it's going to ask you to have the courage to put yourself out there. On the 19th, we see the sun coming into Taurus, lighting up your 8th house space. So these are a little bit deeper when we come into fixed earth energy. Right? We want deeper, transformed emotional shifts. We want financial shifts. We want stability coming into our intimacy and our trust. And the sun here is bringing light, heat, life, and vitality. So as you shift your focus towards more financial and material security, emotional depth, this is where that personal transformation comes through. So this is a period, and it comes every year at this time. This is a period where I think you might be dealing with, healing those emotional wounds, or maybe you've healed them and now you have to learn to live on the other side of being healed, because just because you're healed doesn't mean that you know what to do, right? When the battle's over, what does the warrior do? And you may be learning that, or you may be going more deeply into the way a relationship or a connection has changed because you've done the healing, you've done the reworking. Now, there could be other very practical things. Let's come down to the brass tacks of material Taurus energy: inheritance, investments, insurance, taxes, debt. Okay, you could be dealing with those things as well. So how you handle those shared material resources has been under reevaluation, and now you might be taking a lot more action on them. You'll get a little bit of help though, because on the 27th, we've got a new moon happening at 7 degrees of Taurus. And again, this is in that 8th house space. Now, the new moon is an opportunity to reset and to rebuild or build in the areas of that trust, of those resources. And you plant your seeds of intention to begin to become and allow this to come into your life. However, this particular lunation is also going to square against Mars and Pluto. So I do think, Libra, that there is some kind of internal resistance that is showing up, or it's Pluto. It could very much so be an external power struggle that's a bit in the way. Are you trying to pay off that debt, but you're like, I don't have enough money. How can I pay more on the debt to get it down if I don't have enough money, right? And we're going to start to look at that. But this becomes a place where at Taurus, in Taurus energy, we ask the question of, Libra, are you ready to take control of your finances? Are you ready to take control of your emotional well-being? Maybe you're setting those new financial goals. You're working to get through those deep emotional fears. Or you're like, I am changing, I am transforming, and I need to embrace that and live in the healed version of myself. So either way, if you've been hesitant to invest in any one of those areas, I think this new moon helps you face those decisions very practically in a grounded way and make a new decision. As we're going to close out the month on the 30th, we see Venus now moving back into that vibration of Aries in the 7th house. But again, Venus is not a hustle hard planet. It's I point my hips at it and I attract it to me. So are you attracting to you what you want in your conscious chosen relationships? I'm talking, how do you attract things to you? How strong is your attraction power right now? You are a Venusian. And if you are attracting all kinds of BS and weird to you, we got to ask some questions, right? Like, you're naturally gifted with the vibration. What's blocking you or what's off? And again, I take the Venus Reset program. We get blocked for all sorts of reasons. But with Venus moving here now and the relationships coming back to center stage, whether you're strengthening an existing relationship, you're wanting to attract a new serious relationship into your life, you're renegotiating a business deal, Venus is going to bring a bit of charm, bring a bit of ease to everything that's going on and help you call that thing to you. Now, I did want to say this too, because the retrograde has been a lot. It really has been a lot. So if you've been feeling disconnected from a partner, this particular transit can help you like reignite passion. Reignite. There's a softness that brings like a mutual understanding, even though it's Aries energy. And if you are one of my single, ready to mingle friends, you could be attracting someone new to you. Or take notice that people who are maybe kind of different are actually attracted to you, whether that be romantic or professionally. Enjoy it. Please let me know what that Venus energy is bringing in for you at the end of the month. And keep in mind, Libra, that as always with you, this month is about balance. It's the balance between yourself and others, finances, security, relationships, independence. But this is a month that's another gift to you to step into your power, trust your voice, and embrace the transformations that have already happened and the ones that are coming ahead. All right, beautiful Libras, have a great month, and I will see you next month. My beautiful Scorpio friends, and welcome to your horoscope for April of 2025, where Scorpio this month is full of major shifts, but they're around creativity, some career ambitions you have, and certainly, Taurus season is here, so it's about those relationships as well. Now, I do love it because you get a little supercharge, a little energy comes back to the table. With Mars coming into Leo, so coming back to your 10th house. As well, Venus and Mercury come direct. So we've got a little bit of a vibe going for us. All right, Scorpio, let's jump in and see what's going on. So first of all, I am calling April 5th the Get Your Life Together Day. It is a day, Scorpio, where I would love for you to circle it on your calendar and say, this is the day I am getting my life together, whatever that means for you, because we have got Venus and Mars in beautiful, soft conversation to each other. And then Mars is in an even more delicious conversation to both Saturn and Uranus. Now, if I was looking for a team to help me get things done, like actually be productive, break out of a routine, but do things in a grounded and beautiful way, this would be my squad. So here on the 5th, such a great day if you need to get organized, if you have, a list of things you need to get done, this is the vibe that's definitely going to help you. Now, on April 7th, we've got two things happening. First of all, that Mars that has been out of bounds for months, and you've only had to open your eyes and be alive to feel how out of bounds or extreme sometimes the actions have been feeling around us. And where that has been crazy is some of the things we've seen. Where it has been useful is that in ways that you needed to do things that were outside of your comfort zone, Mars out of bounds makes it easier to do it or to try it out. And now you've got those skills, you've got those strategies, those mechanisms under your belt, and Mars comes back in bounds and you get the gift of keeping all of those new skills and strategies that you have learned so that you can apply them, but Mars will be inbounds so it doesn't look so crazy, okay? So some of that extreme energy we've been experiencing globally, we'll also see that turn down as well. Now, also on the 7th, we see Mercury coming direct in the vibration of Pisces. Mercury did majority of this retrograde going through Aries, but the Aries and Pisces sectors of the chart have been very, very, very busy for months. So now as Mercury is direct here in Pisces, we want to remember that while it was retrograde through this 5th house, first of all, it could have been causing confusion in romance, self-expression, creative projects. Certainly, there could have been some confusion for things around your children or something that you or they wanted to start. Now, if you've been questioning something you've been passionate about, if there was someone in your life and you're kind of questioning them, if you were even questioning your love life, like altogether, or for my artists out there, were you questioning a direction you wanted to go? Was one of your children questioning a direction they want to go? Now, as Mercury is direct, we can expect some clarity. And I want to actually give a little bit of clarity here as well. So let's say that you've been struggling with someone and you're like, I feel like I'm getting a little bit of mixed signals here as we're dating. and I'm not really sure what to do with that, or you're just, you're uninspired. This is where some of that mercurial energy is going to help you. And in just a couple days, we see that Venus now comes direct in Pisces as well. So this is that love and that artistic flow kind of returning. Because remember, Venus is not a hustle hard planet. Venus is about flow and ease and stress reduction and open and receive. And you point your hips at it, Scorpio, and you tell it to come to you, right? You just call it on in here. So as Venus was retrograding, it really could have been making you question, what really does bring me joy? What really is happening in this romantic relationships? Am I really creative enough? Is my talent enough? Is it worth enough? Because Venus is a lot into that self-worth for me to make money from it, or does it have value? Now, as Venus moves forward, I really love Scorpio that I think it brings a new day and an opportunity to open your heart up again. Open it to love. Open it to passion. Open it to be stunned by artistic expression and making room for you to even gain recognition for who you are, what you're doing, your creative projects, your voice, and more than anything else. In the 5th house, we put out a call, we put out a flare to the universe that says, I'm open to more playful, inspired, easy joy in my life. So if that is something you've been craving, come on in here. And if you haven't done the Venus Reset program so you can really get into that juicy, I highly encourage you to get signed up. All right, on the 12th, the second part of the 12th, we've also got the full moon happening in Libra. Now, the full moon is going to ask us to end something, acknowledge something, or to make an adjustment. In the 12th house, this is the place of spirituality, the things going on behind the scenes, endings, maybe something that is, a behavior or an attitude or a mind frame, especially Libra's an air energy. So we're working in the air, in the mind. It could have been a mindset that is your own undoing. It's holding you back. So if you've been having this experience that you've been holding on to something and it's from the past, this can be a time of release. But this lunation is also squaring against Mars. So the emotion around it can be really intense, but you see it for what it is because this is a full moon, So the question I would ask you, Scorpio, here is really, truly in your spirit, not just in your mind, but in your spirit. Are you finally ready to let go of an old pattern? Are you finally ready to let go of that fear, that emotional block? Maybe you've been working on that healing or that therapy and a breakthrough happens here. Because this full moon might bring clarity about that. It's a hidden truth. It's been just right there, tucked right underneath the sofa the whole time, and now you can see it. So also remember, though, that some of getting to the hidden gems is encouraging you to do less, rest, reflect, mark the end of a very long cycle in your life. All right, on the 16th, we've got Mercury now clicking forward, coming back into that vibration of Aries, lighting up your 6th house space. So this is going to be work, daily routines. This is Mercury, so healthy conversations. That is going to be, now Mercury is in Aries. So having conversation is going to be a priority, but we really want to make sure that they are productive and healthy. Because with Mercury moving into that 6th house space, your mind and your conversation is focused on that daily routine, the work, the wellness. I would also like to offer to you to expect and enjoy kind of an increase in even mental or physical productivity, or you have this desire, it's very Aries, desire to organize your life, another great get your life together transit. So if you've been trying or wanting to do something around restructuring your schedule, starting a new work project, if you are an independent contractor and you're I want to find a new contract. If you've been looking for ways to be healthier, get that fitness routine together, make efficiency improvements in your life, expect a lot clearer dialogue and decisive decision-making coming up for you. On the 18th, woo-hoo, we have Mars, one of your ruling planets, moving forward into Leo. Now, it has been a long retrograde time, and it has been good because we've needed it. But as Mars comes back into Leo, while we're not fully out of the retrograde cycle, we are on our way, friend, okay? So this is going to light back up that 10th house space. And where Mars goes, it makes effort feel better. It's like, okay, I have to put in a bit of effort here, but I'm not so mad about it, okay? So as Mars comes here, your career drive, your personal and professional ambitions might intensify. Now, because the 10th house is, yes, the space of your career, we have to consider that, but it's also your reputation. Scorpio, what do we call you in public? Do we call you teacher? Do we call you grandmother? Do we call you wife? Do we call you library volunteer assistant? What do we call you in public? Because as Mars moves here, it's going to give you the motivation and the energy to take a pretty bold step in whatever your title is that we call you in the world. So this is a time to be ambitious. Be ambitious. Make that career move. Stand up for that leadership role. Step into the spotlight, Scorpio. It's okay for you to do that. So let me ask you a question, and you can just consider this. Are you ready to apply for that new role? Launch that business. Take a leadership position, because whatever it is, the 10th house is also very concerned with you having enough drive to pursue something that is going to help you fulfill a long-term career goal. Just be mindful. You're still a Scorpio. This is still Mars. Power struggles at work can make egos clash. So you have a lot of power here, Scorpio, but just use it very strategically. Okay, that's also a very Martian quality. On the 19th, the sun is going to enter into Taurus as it does every year. So it's time to focus on those relationships, strengthen them, shift them, whatever it needs to be. But the sun moving into your 7th brings the focus to light, heat, life, and vitality. We want partnerships that are vital, both romantic, business, you and a higher power, you with your body. So at this time, Aries season and that Pisces energy, we've been doing a lot of work over there. So you may actually be in a season where it's more about strengthening a commitment that you have made, whether it's a commitment to a business partner, whatever it is. If you're still in the space where you are reevaluating a relationship because you're like, this has to die off how it's been going and we need to form some kind of new collaboration, this might be the energy that you can work with there. Now, in order to make sure you have a little bit of help, because the universe is kind, we're also going to have a new moon happening on the 27th, and this is going to be at 7 degrees of Taurus. So check that on your chart, okay? As this new moon is happening in the 7th house, this is about a new chapter in your relationships. Now, truly, whether this means a new romantic relationship, a new business partnership, you're setting stronger boundaries, this is your chance to start fresh. Plant those seeds of intention to begin again. But now we have got this lunation square to both of your ruling planets, Mars and Pluto. So I think, Scorpio, you see some resistance, certainly some tension, but the word for me feels like resistance. You're resisting something, or there's like an external force that feels like it is the resistance. So something to guide your thinking. Are you starting a new relationship? You're taking it to the next level, right? And so maybe that's what you're doing. Maybe you're redefining a relationship and you're taking it to the next level, or you're just structuring it a different way. And for you, this sense of boundaries just keeps coming up for me, but you're having this trouble where maybe you're challenged to actually trust the partnership. Let go of that fear that's been holding back. Set those boundaries, because boundaries are not about keeping you in and me out. They're about, these are the terms of engagement. Whatever it is, this is a really good time to secure and nurture the right kind of collaborations for you. As we're going to close out the month, Scorpio, here on the 30th, we're going to see Venus move into that vibration of Aries. Venus has already been here a lot. Venus is like, oh, hello, 6th house, I'm back. Okay, so this is nothing new over here, but it is much more informed. And again, I remind you, Venus is not a hustle hard energy. She's not going to get anything unless she's out of whack. Venus points the hips at it and says, come to me, because the values, the vibration is clearly aligned. So Venus coming here into Aries in this 6th house, this is about work-life balance. This is about giving you a little joy, a little zhuzh in your productivity boost, okay? Because your work environment can start to become smoother. more enjoyable. Maybe you had a little crinkle with some coworkers or something, and now this is smoothing out. Maybe you are a 1099 person, or you own your own business and business has been slow and now it starts to come in. Whatever it is, as Venus comes to this area of your chart, you can expect better relationships with those around you, a better relationship with being motivated to put your self-care first. Have a daily routine and schedule that brings peace and ease and play and a reduction of stress into your life, which allows you to actually overall boost your productivity. So Scorpio, I mean it seriously, if you have been feeling burnt out, burnout is a sign that we have lost connection to our Venus. We have lost connection to our play, to our intuition, and to that honing beacon that we call from. It's stuck in the hips. Jump into the Venus Reset program, because Venus in Aries is here to try and help you find out ways to make your life and your world in this area more enjoyable, whether it's improving that workspace, setting those boundaries I keep talking about, or actually integrating a self-care daily routine into your life, because not everybody was taught to have a daily self routine. They just weren't. So at this time in your life, if you want more harmony, if you want greater possibility of being productive and feeling good in your skin, your body, and your life, this transit is definitely for you. All right, my beautiful Scorpio friends, so much Venus activation this month, Mars moving, things moving forward. I think that this is a month of reclaiming your power, being bold, make those bold career moves, and definitely embrace love, embrace some ease, and let that be one of the most transformative things that you do all of 2025. So Scorpio, go out there, trust your intuition, trust your instincts. You're stepping out stronger, more creative, more deeply fulfilled, and I love this version of you. All right, Scorpio, let me know how it's going in the comment section down below, and I'll see you in May to see what you're getting up to. My absolutely beautiful Sagittarian friends, and welcome to your horoscope for April of 2025, where Sagittarius this month brings some clarity, especially around your fourth house, family matters, real estate, emotional security. These kinds of dynamics are going to have some forward motion, which is really beautiful. But there's also some pretty powerful changes coming around your friendships and your daily routine. So let's jump in here and talk about it. Now, right at the beginning of the month, Sagittarius, on the 5th, this is what I am calling the get your life together day, because we've got Venus and Mars in a soft, wonderful conversation with each other. But then Mars is in a really lovely conversation with both Saturn and Uranus. Now, if I was going to pick a crew to get something done, like if I needed to really be productive, break out of my shell, but be grounded and have it be kind of come easy, a bit effortless, this would be the team that I would want on my side. So on the 5th, please put a circle around your calendar, mark some things down. That is the day to get organized, be productive, do whatever you need to do. Now, when we get to the 7th, we're going to see Mercury coming direct in that vibration of Pisces. Mercury has done the majority of this retrograde time through the Aries energy, but the Aries and Pisces areas of your chart have been very, very active, because those energies have been getting passed through and back for months. So as we see Mercury come direct here in Pisces, it lights up your fourth house space. And this is what I'm saying. I think that there's some clarity around home and emotional security, because the retrograde was really bringing delays or some kind of confusion, especially in home, family, real estate decisions, maybe even emotional well-being for you, So if you've been feeling uncertain, should I move? What's going on with my parents? Struggling with family communication? Expect to have a bit of clarity coming to the table now. On the 12th is a busy day. We've got Venus coming direct in the vibration of Pisces as well, after having also done the tour through Aries and now back through Pisces. And as Venus was retrograde through this fourth house space, the energy was more about making you reflect on your family connections. Like if you felt tense or disconnected in your family, this retrograde transit has been about helping to smooth things out or see the value of it. But Venus is also an aesthetic energy. So what does your home aesthetic look like? Does your home feel good? Does it feel like an emotional foundation? What are your emotional foundations around aesthetics? Have you been taught? about beauty or having a look or having a style. Well, as Venus moves forward now, you can bring more of that love and that harmony into your personal space, into those family connections. Maybe you're redecorating. But the thing to remember is that Venus is not a hustle hard planet. Venus is not going to go out there and get it and make it mine. Venus is calling it to me. You point your hips at it, say, I value this and I want it to come to me, and you call it to you. Now, if you feel like through this retrograde time, you have had a hard time just attracting to you the abundance that you want in this area, your Venus may be blocked, and it happens. And I would highly encourage you to jump into the Venus Reset program, because this is going to be a pattern that impacts you all year long. Also on the 12th, we've got the full moon happening in Libra. This is going to light up your 11th house space, so the social goals. And I do think that this particular lunation, because it's in an air sign, this is like a breakthrough in your thinking, especially about things that you want in terms of a long-term goal, okay? But the full moon is going to ask a Sagittarius to end something, acknowledge something, or to make some kind of an adjustment. And it's in this 11th house of friendships, community, social media, social things, organizations, but also your future aspirations for yourself. So under all of this light of the full moon, you may experience some realizations about one of these areas. Is this friendship really the thing that you want? What's going on in terms of an organization, or maybe a team project, or maybe your long-term vision for yourself has really changed. But this lunation is squaring to Mars, so I think that you can expect whatever is presented, whatever kind of breakthrough shows up here for you. It can be a little bit intense. So if you've been rethinking a friendship or leaving a group, or maybe even for you, Sagittarius, I do think because this is fire and air, you could have been thinking about stepping into some kind of leadership role in a community in some way. So look for that. Let your recognition come to you of something that you've been working on or you've been trying to call into your life. And if the intensity is there and it's in a really positive way, like I'm overwhelmed with being seen, that's also just a sign, I think, of the intensity of the full moon energy. On the 16th, we've got Mercury entering back into this vibration of Aries, having danced and traveled and moved and done all the shaking and jiving in this area already. And as Mercury comes back here into the Aries energy, your mind becomes sharp. This is a fellow fire energy. So your mind is sharp. It's also a lot more inspired and motivated and playful, right? When fire and fire dance together, it's a really good connection. It's a trine energy. So this is a great time for expressing yourself. This is a great time for flirting a little bit as it lights up this fifth house space. Now, if you had a project, whether it's creative or something that you just wanted to take a risk on and you kind of fell out, you were kind of uninspired around it, this is a great time to become re-inspired around it. I love this energy for my artists too, because really if you've been feeling like, I haven't been having as much fun. This is a great energy to remember joy, pleasure, and play live in this fifth house space. So where are you in letting your heart dance, letting yourself have some fun? Now, for those of you that do have children or are going to be spending time in spaces where there is a lot going on with children, you may see that there is a wild amount of self-expression coming from these tiny humans. So let me know if that's you in the comment section down below. On the 18th, we've got Mars pushing forward into Leo, where it is much more comfortable. Not that it didn't do good work for us back there in Cancer, but as it pushes forward into fire energy, where it can really get something done, it lights up your 9th house space. So it makes me think, all right, your fire is going to be more lit for expansion, publishing, marketing, broadcasting, but adventure. And this is a Sagittarian word: adventure, travel, education, new perspectives, new faith, higher learning. This energy makes you eager to go explore something new. And you may be feeling a stronger pull, Sagittarius, towards traveling, whatever travel means for you. But it is about expanding your worldview and your world knowledge. And a lot of times that asks us to do the number one thing that I think that the 9th house is the best for, and that is faith. It asks you to take a leap of faith to go from the shore that you are on, get across, and make a big leap to the next shore that you get to go to just to see what they have over there. It's a really lovely energy. And Mars makes effort feel a bit more effortless. So whatever you've got to plan, all the paperwork you got to do to get there, this Martian energy is going to be really helpful. Okay, on the 19th, we bring the sun into Taurus, lighting up your 6th house space. So as we see the sun come, it brings light, heat, life, and vitality. So now you are motivated in the 6th house. And what you're motivated to do is to shift your focus towards getting organized, improving how efficient you are, prioritizing your well-being and your fitness, your health routine, your mental health and wellness routine. Do you have a routine in your life that feels pleasurable and effective? So if you've been feeling scattered or unmotivated, again, this is a time where the energy here, the sun is here to help you establish a better routine. So something that I want you to think about as well is that really, truly, Taurus is ruled by Venus. So in your 6th house, in the way you are in your daily life, you want it to be as stress-free as is possible. So you can look at, maybe you've been trying to be more productive. Maybe you've been trying to set a better daily habit or create a healthier work-life balance. This transit is going to help you refine how to do that, how to bring that kind of wellness in. Now, you also get a little bit more help here on the 27th because we've got a new moon that's happening in Taurus. So this is a fresh start. You're going to plant your seeds of intention, a fresh start in how you manage your work, your day-to-day routine, your schedule, your health, your mental health and wellness, that gym time, right? However, this particular lunation is also squaring Mars and Pluto. So this is a signal to me, Sagittarius, that there may be a challenge implementing these changes, whether it is internal resistance and you are having to ask yourself the question of, are you really ready to commit to a new fitness plan, to a new meal plan, to a new work and daily schedule, right? That can be the internal challenge that presents itself, or there could be also an external obstacle and you have to get to the other side of it. So expect a bit of resistance to change, but on the other side of that resistance, it's going to be worth it, Sagittarius. Okay, as we wrap up this month, we have Venus moving back into fellow fire energy Aries. So again, we see a lot of playfulness and a lot of passion returning to your 5th house area. So focus here, Sagittarius. Are you ready for romance? Are you ready for joy, pleasure, play? Are you ready for self-expression, right? Venus coming here is, again, not a hustle hard energy. Venus attracts to it. Allow yourself to indulge in this magnetic energy of love and creativity and inspiration. Maybe allow yourself a renewed sense of passion about whatever you're interested in. So I am telling you, you have multiple opportunities this month of where maybe you've been feeling uninspired or just disconnected from joy, pleasure, and play. Venus here brings you back to what lights you up. So if you are not drawing to you the abundance that you want, if rolling your hips around feels tight and crunchy to you, or you don't feel lit up and activated with that movement, jump into the Venus Reset program, okay? Because this is an excellent time to find out what you really love and lights you up, share your talents, and attract to you the kind of pleasure you would like to have in your world. All right, my beautiful Sagittarian friends, this is a lovely time to expand your horizons, refine that daily life that you've got going on. And what I want to tell you all month long is to trust the process. There's newness that is currently happening in your life right here. It's now. But there are also other new opportunities that you had no idea about, and they are on the way. Have a beautiful month, Sagittarius, and I will see you in May. Beautiful Capricorn friends, and welcome to your horoscope for April of 2025, where Capricorn this month is going to bring some pretty powerful changes in your career and communication sector. As well, we're going to look at what's happening around your shared resources, trust, and intimacy. Now, it is a good month because both Venus and Mercury are coming direct, so this is going to also bring about a bit of clarity. So let's jump in and see what's unfolding for you. Now, I want to tell you, Capricorn, I am calling April 5th the Get Your Life Together Day, because we have got Venus and Mars in such a soft, wonderful conversation with each other. And then we've got Mars in a soft and wonderful conversation with both Saturn and Uranus. Now, I'm going to tell you, if I needed to put a team together of planets to break out of an old habit, but get things done in a really grounded but beautifully productive way, this is the squad. This is who I would call in as my dream team. So on the 5th here, it's a day I would love for you to circle on your calendar because you can be productive, you can get organized, whatever it is that you need to be getting done, circle it, do it, love into your own life here on the 5th. Now, when we get to the 7th, we're going to see that Mercury is coming direct in the vibration of Pisces. This is going to light up your 3rd house space. So it's all about communication, clarity, and mental focus coming back to the table. Isn't that nice? Now, we saw that Mercury did the majority of this retrograde through that Aries energy, but it is important to realize that for months we have been watching energies go through the Pisces and Aries placements and then dance back, and now they're coming direct, and then they're going to start moving forward. So this area of your chart has had a lot of work. And as Mercury has been retrograde through your 3rd house over these last weeks, creating confusion around communication, contracts, learning, daily routine, maybe a little power struggle or a misunderstanding with your siblings. How about some tech issues? Have you felt delayed in making a decision? Whatever those little holdups have been, this is finally the start of feeling like you're going to be able to move forward again. So if you were trying to revise a book or a presentation or a class or a business deal, now you can start to move forward with a bit of confidence. All right, the 12th brings us to a pretty busy day. First of all, we've got Venus now coming direct in that Pisces vibration, so that 3rd house space as well. And Venus is not a hustle hard planet. I cannot stress this enough. Venus is not going out there to get anything. Venus is the energy in your chart where you point your hips at it. You say, "Come to me. I am open to receiving this." Okay, it's a creative flow that you call abundance to you in this area. So as Venus has been in its retrograde through your 3rd house, it's probably been helping you to really rethink all kinds of relationships, conversations that need to be had in relationships. Maybe there has been a miscommunication, or you've been struggling, like you're even in your relationships, you're like, I'm uninspired, I'm creatively blocked, there's no flow, there's no ease here. But now, as Venus starts moving forward, your words, first of all, come with a bit more charm, they come with a bit more ease, and now is the great time with both Venus and Mercury moving in direct fashion to have really meaningful conversations, reconnect with those loved ones, express yourself, really be artistic and thoughtful. You have word magic on your side right now. Now, for those of you who are doing some kind of work where you're writing or speaking or you're in social media, this is also a great energy because Venus makes you very likable. Now, also on the same day, we've got a little bit more Venusian energy to rock our worlds. We've got a full moon happening in Libra, and this is going to light up your 10th house space. So this is about career breakthroughs for you, okay? And it's also about public recognition. I never want to play that down. The 10th house is not just about the career that you do, but it's about what do we call you in public? Do we call you mother, grandmother, fitness coach? What do we call you by reputation in public, okay? Now, the full moon here in Libra, it is a turning point. It's a major turning point, whether it be in that reputation or your career, because it's highlighting that 10th house. So as you're thinking about it, if you've been working towards some kind of career milestone, at this lunation where you're being asked to end something, acknowledge something, or to make an adjustment, there could be some kind of revelation, recognition. And for some of you, this will be a shift in direction, especially since this lunation is squaring to Mars. What's happening here is there's some emotional energy running high, but it is demanding from that Martian perspective that you are stepping into some kind of leadership into your life. So let me ask you something. Is that you? Are you stepping into some kind of leadership role? I wouldn't be surprised, Capricorn. Are you in a place where maybe there's been an important project that you've been working on? Maybe it's for work. Maybe it's a project in your life. Or have you been put in a position where you're feeling the pressure to really redefine your own career path, because this full moon could not only bring you something like a job offer, but it's you making a major decision about your future, or even the moment that public recognition for your hard work and what you've been doing starts to show up. I want to say one other thing about the 10th house space, and because it's you, Capricorn, I want to say this, is that Capricorn, you are one of the signs that I think the most gets to, we all get to do it, but I think you have to do it more often. You have to redefine and reevaluate often what success truly means to you. So this lunation may have you doing all of that. Okay, on the 16th, we've got a little bit more forward motion energy again, because we've got Mercury moving into Aries, which is going to light up your 4th house space. So home, family, real estate, property. But with Mercury here, family conversations or conversations about the home are taking priority. Now, while Mercury is moving here and your mind and your focus are shifting to this home zone, which could also include real estate, it's time to have really active conversations around your living situation, around some family plans, around what are your emotional foundations. So if you're planning a move, maybe you're having a really intense conversation about a family matter. Maybe what it looks like for you is that you're handling home renovations. Maybe because Mercury's been so retrograde, Capricorn, you've been really reflecting on your past and how your past has led you where you are today with your emotional well-being. Okay, either way, Mercury direct now is a great time to have open, direct conversation with family members, address those long-standing issues, whether it's with you or them, and just really get clarity about all of the things that you call family and all of the things that you call home. All right, on the 18th now, woohoo, we've got Mars moving into Leo. So Mars is much more comfortable in fire. And so it's going to light up your 8th house space. So we're talking about financial focus, where you have shared resources, you're in some kind of collaboration, whether that's with the tax man or the insurance person, or maybe it's a partner, your partner's money or valuable things that your partner brings into your life. But we also have here in the 8th house, really, we're getting deep. We're going into the space of intimacy. Intimacy means you see into me. And when we're working at the level of deep intimacy, this is where transformation happens. So let me ask you a couple questions, Capricorn, just so you can frame this for yourself. Are you dealing with right now debt? Are you dealing with some kind of financial partnership? Maybe it's an investment. Maybe you've been working through, during all of this retrograde of Mars, really think back from November of 2024. Have you been working through something emotional or something that's about bringing that psychological, spiritual healing? Because Mars coming back here into Leo gives you the courage to face the deep stuff. Mars makes effort feel easier. So this might be a time for you where you find yourself taking a more bold financial step, like maybe you're negotiating a new contract for yourself, or for those of you that need it, you are refinancing a loan, or you're just like, nope, I need to be in a more powerful, aligned relationship dynamic because I see how my attitude, my trust, my power struggles lead me into the relationships I've been in, and I would like to have something easier. Okay. All right. On the 19th, we've got the sun entering into fellow earth energy of Taurus, lighting up your 5th house space. So this is creative. I love this for you. There's a romantic and a joyful focus that comes in the 2nd house of the month. It's about passion projects. It's about fun, play, joy, energy. And the sun brings light, heat, life, and vitality. So you are motivated to have some pleasure, some self-love, some self-expression in this area of your chart. If you've been too focused on work and too focused on being in the deep stuff, this transit reminds you to make the most of joy. Take a risk to not be stressed out today, to be in a place where you're making room for the universe or your partner or the birds and the children around you to surprise and delight for you, fun and play. So if you're ready to kind of go more deeply into a creative project, maybe you want to start a new business, you're ready to launch that company, maybe there's a hobby you've even been thinking about, or is there a romance that you're like, okay, I'm ready to go down this road, whatever it is. Beautiful Capricorn, if you've been too serious or stuck in a routine, this energy is going to help lighten you up. So flirt with your life, play with your life, enjoy the creative breakthrough, and make space, because this is the 5th house, for things like this to be happening for your children around you as well. Now, you're going to get a little bit of help with that because we've got a new moon happening in Taurus on the 27th. This is also in the 5th house. Now, the new moon is your opportunity to have a powerful new beginning. Listen, you're dealing with a fixed earth sign, so what's going to change and shift and what you're going to begin here is going to have long-term effects, because Taurus doesn't do it for the short haul, okay? Now, this particular lunation is squaring Mars and Pluto. So what you're going to have here is, I think, resistance. I actually think that you get to really physically even feel that you're having to push past internal fears. And there could be, on some level, some external resistance with Mars and Pluto square there. You know, it could be something externally. But the point is that you're just being challenged to take the risk and push forward. Let yourself be vulnerable. Redefine what brings you joy and then move towards it, even if it might not be the most instinctual thing, right? Sometimes what's happening in the realm of the spirit that is absolutely true doesn't make sense necessarily logically. So let your passion, let your joy, let a little bit of play be the guide. Now, as we're going to close out the month here, beautiful Capricorn, we've got Venus entering into Aries on the 30th. So this is back to the energy of that 4th house space. But Venus, again, not hustling hard, bringing harmony, bringing a joy, bringing an ease. So as Venus moves back here to your 4th house space, and remember, she's seen some things, okay? It has been a long retrograde period, and Venus was here before. Now your focus turns towards creating a peaceful, loving, balanced home environment. So expect smoother family relationships. Expect to have a desire to go to your house and redecorate the whole dang thing, right? Expect this need for affection and emotional security. And I do want to say this, because the retrograde has been so long and so intense for us, if you've been feeling disconnected from family, or like what you call home, you know, maybe even your living situation, this transit is going to usher in a little bit of peace and a little bit of clarity. But I want to just point out to you, if you are having trouble receiving and being in the ease of the Venus vibration, I really seriously invite you to come and join the Venus Reset program. That's exactly what we're doing in there, is getting these things out of the way so that you can hear and live and move and have your being with ease with your Venusian energy, because this is a great time to redecorate, invest in home improvements, you know, have your family members over, all of this great kind of stuff. But we can't really expect that you're going to be able to enjoy that and just receive it and have the emotional fulfillment that can go with this if you are out of balance with your Venus. So whatever that is looking like for you this month, my beautiful Capricorn friends, I just want you to remember that this is a time for you to embrace the deep changes that not only have already happened, they're here, you've done them, you've done the work, but take some more bold steps in your career and in your reputation. Reconnect all month long with what brings you joy and trust the transformations that are also coming ahead of you. All right, my beautiful Capricorn friends, let me know how the month goes in the comment section down below, and I'll see you in May. Hello, my beautiful Aquarian friends, and welcome to your horoscope for April of 2025, where Aquarius this month is full of shifts in your finances, things that you're learning, partnerships, and then we are also going to have Mars moving back into Leo, so intensifying that relationship zone. But let me tell you what, I think you've got a pretty good month on your hand, because we've also got Venus and Mercury both coming direct, which means we can get on with getting on with some things. So it's really, I think, going to be a cool month, but let's jump in and break it down so that you can get in here, see what's going on, and get out there and live your best life. Now, on April 7th is the day I'm calling Get Your Life Together Day, because if I were to pick a team of planets to come together to help me break out of a routine, but do new grounded long-term things with ease, like I'm living something so natural, this is the day, this is the squad of planets I would use. We've got Venus and Mars, the lovers are in beautiful connection, but then Mars is in lovely connection with both Saturn and Uranus, and that doesn't always go well, because Mars, Saturn, and Uranus are all happy to like blow it out of the water, right? So as these are coming together in a soft set of angles to each other. It's a great day for being productive, being organized. If you had things you have to get done, I would absolutely be doing it here on April 5th. All right, on the 7th, we see Mercury coming direct in the vibration of Pisces, of course, lighting up that second house space. This is financial clarity. This is a self-worth boost coming your direction. Now, Mercury did majority of this retrograde in that Aries energy, but really, when we look at where we've been over this last couple months, the Aries and Pisces energies in the charts have been there, retrograded, and now are coming back. So this area has had a lot of work, okay? And as Mercury has been retrograde in your second house, first of all, there could have been some confusion around money, budgeting, self-worth, the things that, decisions you needed to make about what you valued. If you've been struggling with trying to get a financial plan underneath you or having some kind of self-confidence, I think that Mercury moving direct now is going to start to clear some of those things up. Have you had a delay in payments, maybe an uncertainty about what's going on with your student loans, maybe uncertainty about a job or income? Have you been questioning your financial worth? Okay, now you can make clear money negotiations, feel more confident, and feel more intuitive about what's going on with your money. Now, on the 12th, it's a bit of a busy day. First of all, we've got Venus now coming direct in Pisces, also in that second house. And the thing I want to point out about Venus is to remember that Venus is not a hustle hard planet, right? Venus is not. Venus is, I point my hips at it and I tell it to come to me, and then I receive it with ease and abundance. So if this sounds like a struggle to you, especially around money, I would highly encourage you to jump into the Venus Reset program. That is what we are doing. We are unblocking that energy that is blocking your Venus from doing just that. Now, you've had a lot of retrograde energy here. So as Venus has been retrograde, it's been making you reassess how you handle money, how you value yourself, how you draw it to you. But now that Venus is moving forward, the financial opportunities can, first of all, improve. Okay, they can just get better, like there are some financial opportunities. And hopefully it finds you feeling honestly more aligned with your worth. So if you've been holding off on an investment, which may have been wise at this particular time in the world, or you've been debating going back and forth on a purchase, you're struggling with that self-confidence, should I raise my rates? This transit is going to bring a little bit more balance. And I do want to say too, for those of you who have been owed money, you might find that that money is making its way back to you, but you want to make sure that it's making it back to you and going into a container that manages those finances very, very, very well. Okay? But Venus is here to be a helper for sure. Now, we also have on the same day the full moon happening in Libra, and this is going to light up your 9th house space. So this is where you're going to be asked to look at expansion and really look at some kind of breakthrough around your belief system, like what you do believe, what you have believed. Now, the full moon's going to ask us to end something, acknowledge something, or to make an adjustment, and lighting up the 9th house space of this expansion, higher education, publishing, marketing, broadcasting, international travel, right? These areas that take us beyond the horizons that we currently have and give us a new worldview. You might start to experience some realizations about your life philosophy, Aquarius, or maybe something about you need an education and you want to change directions with it. For some of you, you really will be making these travel plans. But since this full moon squares Mars, I do want you to know that there might be a bit of tension, or it can even feel like urgency, right? It's urgency. I need to act. I thought about it. I felt it. I have to do it right now. So I just want to give you a couple guiding questions to think about at this moon. First of all, are you rethinking, a spiritual belief or a philosophy? Have you already been doing it? You've maybe been working on it. Is there a course of study that you're thinking, yeah, this is really just not for me, I want to end it? Or are you just coming to an end of a course of study, which good for you, right? Is there a decision? This kept coming through so strong for me. Is there a decision for some of you where you're like, I think I want to travel abroad and teach. I want to be a teacher abroad. This full moon brings a bit of clarity about what you need to do to explore what to do next. So let me know what that is for you in the comment section down below. Okay, April 16th. Now we've got a little bit more forward motion. We've got Mercury coming back into Aries. And again, just a reminder, we have been dancing with this Aries Pisces energy for a really long time. So you've been here, you've been back here, you've been back here again some more still. Okay, so this area I think is ready for this Mercury in Aries, that sharp communication, that mental clarity. And through your third house, your mind becomes sharp. It's quick, it's focused, it's ready to express ideas. So this is a great time for those of you that need to write, need to speak, need to teach, need to network. Maybe you're planning a short distance trip. You've got to negotiate a deal, or you're talking to your siblings. You've got a new project that really requires a lot of paperwork or clear communication. Maybe you're doing a blog or a podcast, or you're teaching, whatever it is. This energy is good for it. Now, you do want to expect that whatever you're doing and talking about and making decisions about, it's going to move quickly. And that is exciting, but also just make sure you're looking at the fine print always. On the 18th, we see Mars moving into Leo. So again, a click forward into some forward moving energy. This lights up that 7th house space. Bold relationship, passionate relationship, partnership moves are coming up, okay? Now, Mars in this 7th house space, again, it's already been here. So you've already seen this more than once. But in this 7th house, it's not just the romantic relationships. I want you to think conscious, chosen, one-on-one relationships. So maybe it's a marriage, maybe it's a divorce. Maybe it's an open enemy, meaning you know who this person is that has a problem with you. Maybe it's a contract you're in. It's a business partnership. It's you with your body. It's you with a higher power, right? Like, where is the conscious, significant relationship? Because Mars moving here, first of all, it does kick up a fair amount of passion, but this sits in an opposition to you. So it can also bring potential conflicts. This transit is going to push you to be more direct in your partnerships. And it doesn't matter which ones, romantic, business, legal, right? So let me ask you this. Are you navigating some relationship challenges right now, Aquarius? And this doesn't mean that anybody's about to get divorced or anything like that. They can be big, they can be small. Sometimes the challenges are very internal, and it's like you're having to practice boundaries or something like that, right? Are you negotiating a contract? Are you a person who's maybe single and you're like, I would like to have partnership in my life, but I need it to be a little bit more dynamic, right? I'm willing to put in the effort to have it be a bit more dynamic, because Mars is going to bring the energy and the intensity to put in the work, because Mars makes effort easier. Now, you do want to be mindful that because Mars is sitting here in opposition to you, power struggles or impulsive decisions in any one of these areas can be really, really rough. But if you handle them well, it can be a time for deepening the commitments you have, cutting off the things that don't belong there anymore, because Mars is that knife, it will cut away. So if it's no longer serving you and the other person's growth, you'll be ready to say, okay, let's move on. Now, when we get to the 19th, we're going to bring the sun into fellow fixed energy Taurus and light up your 4th house space, home, family, real estate, property. And more than anything, it's like your 4th house with your family stability becomes the priority, because the sun moving into the 4th is going to bring light, heat, life, and vitality. So you are literally shifting your focus into this space where you're like, I want emotional security. I want to reconnect with my loved ones. I want to reconnect with this house. I want to redecorate my space. All of this home needs to feel easy, needs to feel connected. If you're planning a move, or maybe you are having, or you've been having to handle a lot of like family matters. Right now, you're going to focus on grounding. You're like, this place needs to be grounded. Okay. So build that strong foundation for yourself, for your home, whether that be physically or emotionally. Something else that you may feel, because Taurus is ruled by Venus, is you may feel like drawing in, like literally drawing into your home, spending time at home, making money from home. Like you're like, this is my sanctuary and I want it to be easy and delicious, and I want all the abundance to come to me in it. So let me know what that is for you in the comment section down below. Now, you're going to get a bit of help, because on the 27th, we've got a new moon that's happening in Taurus, and this is creating a fresh start in this area. However, This particular lunation has Mars and Pluto squaring. So there is a tension and there is a resistance that I see here. So whether it is an internal resistance, you're coming up against a boundary, really, that you're like, I have to set a boundary with my family. If I'm going to create a home environment that truly supports me, is truly loving and easy, I have to set boundaries. And maybe you have a little bit of fear around that, or maybe you have to make a really big family decision and there's an obstacle. Maybe one family member is not on board with the whole show. So expect some intensity, but what I will tell you is trust that this is a time where you have planted your seeds of intention for something new here. So this is a reset for the best, all right? As we're going to close out this month, Aquarius, on the 30th, we're going to see that Venus now steps forward back into Aries as well. Again, Venus is not the hustle hard planet. This is the time where in the Aries area of your chart, receive. Do less, be easier. Because as Venus moves into this third house, you can turn your focus towards being more charming, being more soft in your conversation, having social interactions and networking, being more artistic and free and flowy and easy with your expression. I think about Venus in the third house, especially in Aries. I have Venus in Aries. You might be feeling a little bit more flirtatious, right? Maybe you want to write a little spicy romance, or you want to write a little spicy blog or something like that. Maybe you want to read a little something spicy, but there's this sense here as well that you're like, I want to talk about it, right? Oh, what is that phrase they're saying now? Talk them through it. Okay, that's a whole thing. But there's like this draw towards storytelling, and you're like, yes, bring those delicious words over here. So for those of you who are doing a little writing project, or there's an important conversation that you need to have, your communication skills are fire at this time if you use Venus like Venus, and that is to receive. Do not go out there and get it. Put yourself in the place where you point your hips at what you want and call it to you. And again, if you're having problems with the attraction or the receiving, jump into that Venus reset program. Okay, my absolutely beautiful Aquarian friends, you are magnetic this month, and there are doors opened and opening for you. So it's a time to really own your own value. Nurture those relationships, create the foundation that supports you and your future. And let me know in the comment section down below how you're doing, trusting all of these transformations that have already unfolded for you and are continuing to unfold as well. Have a great month, Aquarius, and I will see you in May. Hello, my absolutely beautiful Pisces friends, and welcome to April of 2025, where, wow, Pisces friends, my soulmates, let me just tell you what. I want to start this particular forecast by honoring the absolutely powerful cosmic setup that is still pulsing through your sign. At current, you've got Saturn and the North Node as some really big energies in Pisces in that first house. Now, Neptune has just recently exited Pisces, but its influence, especially as one of your ruling planets, is so entirely fresh, right? It's still in your field of orb. And this has been, I think, a really evolutionary moment of deep spiritual maturity for you. Neptune helped to really dissolve an old version of who you thought you were, and it made space for soul truth. And now that Saturn is there, it's saying, okay, let's build it. Let's make it real. You know something different about yourself. It's deep, it's intuitive, it's soulful. Let's build it. Let's make it real. And the North Node is guiding you to softly but courageously step into that truth, no matter how unfamiliar or vulnerable it feels. This is you, Pisces, becoming, but it's you becoming you on purpose right now. And I just love that. And if that was not enough, both Mercury and Venus have been bouncing back and forth between that Aries-Pisces dance this year. And it's been this dance between your first house and your second house. So this has stirred up a lot around that sense of identity, that self-worth, your voice, your value. You may have been really revisiting some old stories about how you show up in the world. Maybe you've been redefining your beauty, certainly rethinking what you deserve. And I think too, if we're honest, struggling at times to say what it is you really mean and be heard. However, now in April, we see Mercury and Venus stationing direct, and I think things begin to click forward into place. You have been in the underworld of self-perception, and now you are emerging so much more integrated, more clear, and more committed to living in alignment with who you are, who you found out you were. And I'm really excited for you. So let's walk through this month and talk about what is going down. Now, right at the beginning of the month, Pisces, I call it my getting your life together day. Okay, it's April 5th. And if I were to pick a cosmic team to come together to help me be productive, it would be this lineup here on the 5th. So put a big circle on your calendar. We've got Venus and Mars in soft, beautiful conversation. The lovers are in a good place. And then we've got Mars in soft conversation with Saturn and Uranus. Now, that combination of planets sometimes just wants to get together and jack some things up, but they are in teamwork makes the dream work mode here on the 5th. So use that day. If you have to get organized, you have to be productive, you have a list of things that need to get done, this is going to be the energy to go ahead and do it. On the 7th, we see Mercury coming direct in your sign in Pisces. Again, these energies have been bouncing forward from Pisces to Aries, from Pisces to Aries, and now we're back. I'm back, right? So one of the things to keep in mind is that there is a lot of clarity to your expression. And I feel like Pisces, for you, it's a deeper understanding of your inner voice and understanding your role in the world, right? Because as Mercury turns direct here, there's also this clarity to your thoughts, to your words, to the decisions of the direction that you would like to go. So if you've really truly been in a kind of a loop, questioning who you are, questioning how other people perceive you, what you want to say, what you have to say, or any kind of mental fog, you're reconnecting now with how and what you want to show the world, your voice, your message, your ideas. So I just want to leave this little thought for you here, Pisces, of what has your inner dialogue been? And since about mid-March, this birthday time energy, like since birthday time, let's go from there. How is it different? How do you feel like you're more equipped now to speak your purpose? All right, on the 12th, it's a bit of a busy day. First of all, we're going to see Venus coming direct in your sign, Venus coming direct in that Piscean energy. Now, Venus is not a hustle hard planet. And that is the thing I just want to call you to remember. Venus is about, I point my hips at it and I call it to me, and then I abundantly, graciously receive it. So Pisces, if you are struggling with receiving, being still, being soft, being slow, I invite you again to the Venus Reset program. Jump in there. That's what we're doing. We're getting that Venus energy unblocked so that you can receive and let that beauty be there. Now, as Venus has been retrograding in your first house, it really has pushed the space to reassess how you present yourself and how others perceive you based on what's the aesthetic, what's the presentation that you're putting out there. So now that as Venus moves forward, again, I see this as a signal for you to be able to step into your power, into a really embraced self-love kind of routine, joy, enjoying smoother, softer, easier relationships. And I want to go here for a minute because I did see this a little bit in some of the comments. If you have been doubting your attractiveness or your aesthetic, if you've been feeling unappreciated, this is a time with Venus moving forward to help you restore a little bit of confidence, but to be honest with yourself, what is the aesthetic that I'm putting out there, right? How would you like to be addressed? Dress how you would like to be addressed. Carry an aesthetic of how you would like to be addressed, right? So if you're feeling this inspiration to change your appearance, to update your wardrobe, to go with natural beauty, how you're like, I don't need any of that. I just want my renewed glow and charm to come through. This is really an energy to do that and watch the abundance that gets attracted to you. Now, on the same day, we've got a full moon in Libra, which is a Venusian ruled energy. So it is all coming up Pisces, okay? Now, the full moon is going to ask us to end something, acknowledge something, or to make an adjustment. Now, here it's going to be about some financial revelations, partnership revelations, like a joint resource that you have, intimacy, you see into me, trust, sex, power dynamics, psychological breakthroughs, astrology, it all lives over here in the 8th house. And now the full moon here gives you an opportunity with all the light in the sky on where you may have a really powerful realization about a partnership or about money or about, debt or a connection that you have. And there's a lot of emotional healing that can be available here that shifts the vibe. However, this lunation does have square to Mars energy, so this could be quite intense. So for some of you, you may just be finalizing something financial. Maybe it's a tax thing, a debt, you've got a shared investment that you're working on, or perhaps it's the time where you're getting to officially let go of some emotional baggage in a relationship, right? It's not about leaving the relationship necessarily. It's about, we got to put the baggage down in the relationship and step into this same relationship, this same arrangement, much more empowered with a greater sense of yourself. Whatever that happens to be, the full moon pushes you to face that eighth house shadow side, and then emerge like that phoenix, stronger. On the 16th, we see Mercury moving into Aries. So we again have some interest in moving energy forward. So with Mercury moving here in your 2nd house, your mind, your thoughts are going to shift towards money, budgeting, income opportunities, how you value yourself, right? So this is the time for negotiations, that financial planning, reevaluating how it is that you are attracting money into your life and making decisions to have a strategy and a plan to go get it. So if you're looking for those ways to make more money, if you're looking about, is this the time in my life where I should discuss getting a raise, or maybe I have to rework this budget, whatever it is, this transit makes you more strategic with your thinking and your resources. So I would expect important money-related conversations to be coming up. And it's about, how can this lead to a greater financial and resource security? Okay, on the 18th, we've got Mars moving into Leo. So again, we're stepping forward. See, some of these energies are coming forward, and this is lighting up your 6th house space. So this is about work, health, daily routines, but Mars makes effort, the places where we have to put in effort, it makes effort easier. So you're going to get a boost of energy, maybe some productivity, a little bit of discipline. Certainly you feel more motivated to tackle work projects, to tackle that daily routine, to actually take action to establish those better habits, right? Because our habits can just be thinking, and then we think ourselves crazy. It's like, what am I also doing to be very efficient in my life? So truly, Pisces, if you've been feeling a little sluggish, you've been feeling a little uninspired, Mars is sure to bring you a little surge of energy. However, I do want to say, be mindful that when it comes to work things and workplace things, Mars is also happy to bring a little tension, a little overexertion. So stay in that Venus, attract, be soft, be ease. You don't need to do more, and use this Mars energy to just pace yourself. On the 19th, we've got the sun moving into Taurus, lighting up this 3rd house space. So bringing learning, communication, networking to the table, writing, speaking. The sun brings light, heat, life, and vitality. So here, your energy in terms of what you're motivated to do and be known for. First of all, this happens the same time every year. Let's note that, okay? So it's time. We're back. So you can also make a review of what was going on for you in this area last year, that now as you shift the focus back here to that learning, communication, networking, you can go, okay, did I launch a project last year? And if not, this is a great time for doing it. Network, launch that project, launch something that requires you to write, to speak, to engage and go back and forth with new ideas, right? Maybe it's that blog, that podcast, you're taking a course, whatever it is, the sun here is going to have you be more engaging. Now you're going to get a little help to get this done, because on the 27th, we've got a new moon that's happening in Taurus, and this is bringing that fresh start. Fresh start. Plant your seeds of intention around learning, writing, things with siblings, communications, new contracts that are maybe coming into your life. However, this lunation with Mars and Pluto squaring, there's a challenge. This is letting me know that this is a signature of challenge. Now, whether it is you are being challenged to bring a new idea, or someone's bringing a new idea to you and you're a bit resistant to it, probably because you're a bit afraid to change, or you're afraid you won't be safe, right? or there is an actual external block or obstacle. The point here is not for you to back away from it. It's to make the commitment to expanding your knowledge and refining this area, finding out how to get to the other side of that resistance or that obstacle. Now, as we're going to close out the month, beautiful Pisces friends, we've got Venus back in Aries, so just one more step forward, and this one's coming into that second house. So we've got money, which Venus loves being in the second house, by the way, so this is to your benefit. So increased income opportunities, new ideas of how to have better financial management, right? Because now our energy that we're drawing to us and we're using our charm to call to us turns toward finance, personal value, material resources, material enjoyment. With Venus, you get to enjoy abundantly the things that are around you. So this is a great time for you with this transit to attract that abundance that you want. Make smart purchases. Treat yourself with love, with care, with respect. Treat your body with love and care and respect. You know, if it is, what are you doing to invest financially in your own physical health? This is a great question to consider. And for those of you who this is really hitting that worth place, think about it. Are you ready to negotiate a salary? You're like, I need to make more. I'm ready. My value for what I'm bringing is more. Or maybe you're ready to start investing or making an investment. This energy helps you feel a little bit more financially optimistic about it. You may be feeling a little bit more drawn to some of those luxury purchases as well. And as long as the bank account can handle it, do you, beautiful Pisces friends. Okay, Pisces, this is a time of a lot of self-love, but it is also a time to trust in the transformation that has happened to you and is continuing to unfold. And definitely this is a month and it is a time to take control of your finances. All right, my beautiful Pisces friends, let me know how the month is unfolding for you in the comment section down below. I love you a ton and I will see you in May.